Stop! You're not getting anywhere with this, von Borchert.
You know, I kind of get the same feeling, my dear Sarah. Listen. Nothing. Not a sound. No one's coming to save you.
Huh, that's what you think. The Golden Order knows exactly where we are.
By the time your ridiculous secret society turns up, I'll be long gone. As for you, nothing will remain of your body.
If you touch a single hair on my mother's head, I'll skin you alive.
You know, Louis, I have no intention of beating your dear mother. There are more persuasive ways of making you talk. You've stolen something from me that I intend to get back. Where have you hidden it?
Von Borchert, you can't sell that book on the black market anymore. This is finished.
We know you're planning on selling at one of Lord Mortimer's parties. All right? Just tell us who the buyer is and we can make a deal.
You've no idea of the trouble you've gotten yourselves into. Oh, but you will tell me where it's hidden. I can promise you that.
Stop annoying our host, Louis. Son, didn't what happened to you in Rome teach you anything?
Just a few more minutes and my concoction will be ready. With this, your bodies will dissolve in less than 4 hours. You'll see. It loosens tongues in no time.
You know, I have to admit, Mother, the only thing you've ever taught me is that damn motto of yours. Always remain rational. And open. I got it. I've opened our shackles.
Draw him over here. I'll take care of him.
Von Borchert! Von Borchert!
Hmm?
Listen. Let's make a deal. I'll tell you where the book is if you let my mother go free.
Oh, what are you playing at?
Don't worry, Mother.
You want to play the hero. Pity you're not in any position to do so. For the last time. Where is Al-Azif?
Let me do this. Trust me.
Please, be my guest, Mother.
Well done, Louis. You reacted perfectly.
How do you feel, Mother?
Couldn't be better. He's alive, so I can question him after we get back. Pity he's just a middleman. Means I haven't finished with this case.
Oh, I had a feeling you'd be running off on one of your adventures again, Mother. You know what? I'm warning you. This time, I'm coming with you.
No. Even though you impress me more and more, I have to do this on my own.
Mother, you're no spring chicken anymore.
Come on, let's go home. And don't forget to send our men to tend to von Borchert.
Well done, Mother. You just had to pick up Von Burchard's trail on your own, didn't you? You ditch me in Paris with no explanation, and off you go to infiltrate one of the world-renowned receptions of this Lord Mortimer? And now he writes me to say that you've gone missing on his private island? Which, by the way, looks more like a big rock than a paradise island.
The least he could do is explain to me how he managed to lose you. In any case, it is time for you to stop all this, Mother. It no longer suits your age. Well, I'm sure I'll find you once again, slogging through the caves beneath the island, searching for some long-lost mystical object that you just can't live without. I'm already hating this trip, and all I've done is think
Contrary
about
to
it.
what one may be able to imagine, it was not the host himself who invited me.
Well now, Duchess, we find ourselves both invited by Sir Holm.
Well, how very amusing. Perhaps we have some common interests, Your Eminence. Is this your first time at one of Lord Mortimer's legendary parties?
Oh no, we have been friends since long ago. But as I'm doing some business with Sir Holm, the invitation came from him.
Well, I simply can't wait for all the festivities to begin.
And you, good sir, what brings you here?
Lord Mortimer asked me to join him. We have some business to take care of.
Oh, how mysterious. You adapt quickly, my son. You get along here like a fish in water. Would you believe that we are all here hoping to solve our personal issues? You'll see.
Right. I doubt that you came here to look for your mother, Your Eminence.
Anyway, consider yourself fortunate, young man, because there are many who dream of simply one day setting foot on this island, and only a very few ever make it. Indeed, I imagine this must be your first time here.
And you, Duchess? You seem to be quite accustomed to things here. Am I right?
I do not think that one can ever get accustomed to what Lord Mortimer prepares for his guests. But you are right. This is not the first time I've been on this wharf.
If you've come back again, I imagine you must find it to be of some interest.
Here, everything is possible if you make the right choices. It really is up to you whether you leave better off or not.
Please excuse me if you find me overly curious, young man. I did not mean to cause you any embarrassment. Come, Duchess. They are waiting for us.
We're moving, Monsieur de Richet, if you would like to join us.
I'm coming, Duchess.
A cardinal? A duchess? I wonder if all the guests here are this prestigious. If I'd known, I would have gone for a better suit.
Are you all right?
Mother? Oh shit, your hand!
So,
Okay, it's done.
did you put it in a safe place?
Yes. I made sure no one was following me. Don't worry, Sarah, no one's going to find it.
Are you absolutely sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Right. Just one thing left to do.
No, Mother, no, don't!
What? Have you lost your mind?
There's no other way.
If you kill me, you won't find it.
That is the point, my dear. No one must ever put their hands on it again.
No. But I trusted you.
No, Sarah. Don't. No. No! You can run if you want to, Sarah, but you will pay for what you've done.
Hugh.
Louis, are you all right? What's going on? Here, take this.
I'm sorry.
Keep it. Are you better?
I'm fine. Don't worry. It's getting late. Why don't you go on ahead and I'll catch up with you, okay?
Are you sure?
Yes! I'm sorry. I'm sure, yes.
Fine.
I definitely have to find Mother quickly.
Louis, during the trip, I had something I wanted to ask you, but we didn't happen to run into each other.
Yes, Duchess?
I'm not sure if you remember, but we've met before. At that time, you were of two minds as to your choice of career. Tell me, what have you been up to since?
I have been involved in all sorts of unsolved cases. Have you ever heard of the Abbey of Hexham?
Vaguely.
An ingenious scam involving mass manipulation on a scale never seen before.
There was a cavern under the abbey, wasn't there?
Exactly. The wind would blow in through spouts, creating a terrifying howling sound. So, to stop the howling, the priests called for offerings from the peasants.
And if they brought enough money, I'm guessing the priest stopped the howling. A perfect trick to fool simple souls.
Admit it, Duchess. That story kept you in suspense, didn't it?
Yes, it did. I'm delighted to find out that you were the young and brilliant French investigator.
For someone who only remembers the case vaguely, your memories are very clear.
Well, they say I have the memory of two people. But please, call me Emily.
Fine, Emily. Tell me, I was actually helped on that case by my mother. You wouldn't know her by any chance?
Wait, Louis. We've already met. You do remember me, don't you?
Please excuse me, madam. I'm sure we've met before, but I don't remember where.
I appreciate your honesty, even if it's not very flattering for me.
I imagine that with your beauty, madam, it's the first time a man hasn't remembered your face.
Well, I must say you make up for yourself rather elegantly.
Please stop torturing me. I'm completely at your mercy. Where have we met?
4 years ago, in London?
No. Sorry, I don't remember.
In the office of William Pitt. Remember? No?
I'm so sorry, Emily, but I really don't remember you.
Let's drop it, Louis. It doesn't matter. Right, time to go to the manor.
Emily, please excuse my insisting, but you still haven't answered about my mother. Do you know her?
You'll see, Louis. Everybody here knows Sarah de Richet.
I don't know where we're going like this, Emily, but you're connected to my mother one way or another. And if I can believe my vision, you don't have much of a place in her heart.
Good evening, sir. May I ask your name, please?
Louis Moras de Richet.
Monsieur de Richet. Delighted to welcome you among us, sir. You must be Sarah de Richet's son. I must tell you we are doing our utmost to find your mother as quickly as possible.
What can you tell me about the disappearance of my mother?
2 weeks have passed since Sir's mother went missing. All the staff here have since been busy searching every nook and cranny of the island. But Sir may rest assured, we shouldn't be long in finding her.
And just what have you found so far?
It would seem that Sir's mother may be hiding on the island and regularly changing her location. But no one seems to know why she would find this behavior necessary.
What do you mean?
On several occasions, we have found leftovers of food, a few of her things, or even traces of campsites. The reason why we're searching the wharf again is because lights were spotted there last night.
Where we are now?
Indeed, sir. According to our information, lights were seen in the middle of the night, sir. After verification, none of the guests seem to have left the manor last night. We think that perhaps Sir's mother was here.
Did anyone see anything else?
Unfortunately not, sir. Only lights were seen by servants of the manor, sir. And as I was saying, sir, all the guests were asleep, and no one seems to have noticed anything at all. We seem to have found an object that would appear to belong to Sir's mother. A handkerchief. The handkerchief is embroidered with the initials SDR. We came to the conclusion that they are the initials of Sir's mother, Sarah de Richet. I have orders to give it to Lord Mortimer as soon as I see him.
I know my mother. She's not the kind to go for a midnight stroll on the wharf for nothing. I've got to find out what the hell she was doing here.
Where exactly did you find the handkerchief?
On the landing dock, sir. The one you arrived by.
Pass me the handkerchief.
But sir, my orders were to give it to my master.
Are you refusing to give me my own mother's personal belongings? Even though she was greatly looking forward to meeting your master, she's gone missing. And you seem incapable of finding her.
Oh, but sir, please.
And to top it all off, you refuse to give me the handkerchief that she so often let me use? Do I deserve such little consideration in your eyes? Is that what you wish me to report to your master?
No, certainly not, sir. Please forgive me, sir. I have been such an idiot. Here you are.
It is indeed your handkerchief, Mother. You must have come here for a specific reason. I need to know what it is. Hey, there's something not right about this floorboard. It's different from the rest. Somebody replaced it recently, but looks like it's fixed pretty solidly in place. It's going to be tough to rip it out of here. That does it. Let's see what's hidden inside. There's a book and also a bag. The Mysterium Cosmographicum. I know that book well. Mother used to read passages from it to me all the time. And judging from what I can see, it's the same one as hers. For crying out loud, what's happened to you, Mother? Let's look inside the bag. A little food, a few toiletries, a small key, and some kind of black powder. Some fruit, a piece of bacon, and some bread. The fruit's still firm. The bread's a bit stale. From the smell, this food's been here roughly 2 days. And if it's rationed, there's enough left to last 2 more days. Shit. Those are definitely my mother's things. I recognize her hairpins. This bag smells of her perfume. A piece of soap, some oils, and her powder puff. But what does all this mean? An iron key completely rusted. You never know. It might be useful. I hope Mother wasn't counting on it. The bottom of the bag is covered in black powder. Right. Just in case, I'll take it all. I'll give it back to Mother when I see her. Crying out loud. Why did you hide supplies in the middle of nowhere, Mother? I don't know what's going on here, but you obviously feel like you're in danger. Ah, there we are. This looks like a pistol case, but it's empty. I don't know if this has anything to do with you, Mother, but if it does, at least now you're armed. Just like in my vision. And none of it's telling me anything useful. This wharf is used as storage for a lot of barrels. Uh-huh. What have we here? It's cannon powder. The powder's wet. Not surprising, given the dampness of the dock. It's unusable now. I don't know what the person who left this barrel like this had in mind, but it's a waste. Apparently, someone on this island has gone through a whole lot of trouble to arm themselves. I really must find you, dear Mother, and quickly too. Samuel Ritter Dauchois. Mother, you test me even when you're not here. It's an anagram of Louis Moras de Richer. You wanted to write to me then. Let's see what's inside this letter. So.
Dear Samuel, my stay on Lord Mortimer's island is going wonderfully well. As I find myself in such charming company, I plan to stay a few more weeks. Would you be so kind as to send me a gift that I'd like to give to our old friend Manuel Godoy? I would be most grateful. I have been told that he's going to join us here soon. I would like to mark the occasion. Thank you in advance. Yours devotedly, Sarah Faustine de Richer.
What is your game here, Mother? What are these strange turns of phrase? I've never heard you speak like that. What's going on here? that you write to me under a pen name, okay. But here you go even further, by trying to avoid raising any suspicions should anyone else read it. I wonder if this Godoy is the person you came looking for. Think! Godoy, Godoy, Manuel Godoy. Why does that name sound so familiar? I'm guessing he's a man of some importance. Spanish, I'd say. But just can't put a face to him. Well, hope we meet to talk about it soon, Mother. I don't know what you've gotten yourself into this time, but I'll bet you've got a lot to tell me. How did Mortimer manage to build his manor at the top of a rocky outcrop? Impressive.
Ah, my son. I was looking for you.
What can I do for you, Your Eminence?
I wanted to ask you. You are the son of Sara de Riche, aren't you? You see, your mother and I were supposed to meet here on this very spot. I was supposed to hand her a very important envelope. But I haven't seen her.
If only Mother had told me why she was coming here. Anyway, I ought to take the envelope. It might have something to do with her disappearance.
Listen, if it will help, you can always give it to me.
Thank you, my son. I'll bear that in mind. I'd rather deal with her directly. Don't take it personally. Would you happen to know if your mother has arrived yet?
Certainly, Your Eminence. Mother got here some time ago. I was hoping to find her when I arrived, but given the hour, she must be asleep by now.
You're right. I shall see her tomorrow, then.
By the way, Your Eminence, I wasn't aware you knew my mother.
Ah, if you only knew, my son. I hold your mother in the highest regard. She has rendered great service to the church, and her help is invaluable. I hope that you will follow in her footsteps.
If only she had told me where she was headed.
Nonetheless, our exchanges have always been discreet, and I should like them to remain as such. If your mother wishes to speak to you about us one day, I will not mind if she does so.
That is very commendable. But since we work together on a daily basis, it's surely just an oversight.
Most certainly. You said you work together. What do you do exactly?
Be it Mother or myself, our motto has always been discretion in all things. And to promise to never betray a word of honor. Was your secret safe with Mother? It will be even more so with me.
You have convinced me. The mystery with which your mother manages her business proves that she carries your motto close to her heart. Your words seem sincere, my son.
All the same, it bothers me to see you in a quandary, Your Eminence. Is there any other solution? Look, if it's of any help, you can always leave your envelope with me and I'll give it to her as soon as I see her.
I hesitate. Up till now, we have always dealt with her in person, and that has always been successful. Do you think I should give it to you?
Don't worry, Your Eminence. Your secret is safe with me. You know my mother's reputation. As her son, I will defend the de Riche's word with the same fervor.
I would expect nothing less. Listen to me, my child. If I give you the letter, can you promise me before God that no one other than your mother will read it?
I swear by the Almighty God to honor the promise that no one but my mother shall cast her gaze upon your letter.
Good. Listen, let's stop there. I'm going to tell you a secret, Monsieur de Derice. Your mother and I are organizing the escape of a large number of French priests who face a massacre organized by the cursed Republican tribunals. The church is literally being bled like a beast. Without your mother, hundreds of men of the cloth would have gone to the guillotine. She has made the services of your order available to us by organizing the priests' safe passage across the borders. Even if she does not share all our convictions, she always provided assistance. Young man, you can be proud to be her son. Be it only for her sake. Always respect your name. Here, the letter I spoke of. It includes a list of about 15 names ready for departure. Be quick. Remember to tell Sarah when you see her that time is short.
Well played. I'll decide later when I'm alone whether to look at what it contains.
I thought my chimney was big, but this one is beyond belief.
It's the least one can say. I've been longing for a warm fire for ages.
Since I set foot on the island, I haven't ventured more than 2 yards away from it.
Have you also just arrived?
Oh, late morning, I'd say.
Louis, come join us. Monsieur, may I introduce you to Monseigneur His Eminence, Cardinal Piaggi? He joins us straight from Rome.
Oh, just call me Your Eminence. It's simpler.
George Washington, President of the United States of America.
Delighted at last to make your acquaintance, Mr. President.
Pleased to meet you, Mr. President. Louis Moras de Riche. It is an honor to meet you.
Young man, let's keep it simple, please. Let us forget our fancy titles. Nice to meet you, Louis.
I should imagine you never thought you'd be in such company.
I must admit that I didn't. It's the first time that I've ever met so many illustrious personalities.
And you haven't seen anything yet. Generally, when Lord Mortimer organizes one of his receptions, there are over a dozen people here.
They can't all be here yet, and you'll see, most of the time there's only the upper crust.
And I noticed you were already getting to know His Eminence at the entrance. It's the perfect place to build up a network. What were you talking about, if you'll forgive my indiscretion?
At the risk of disappointing you, we weren't conspiring in our corner, sir. His Eminence was simply telling me that he knew my mother and how much he held her in high esteem.
It so happens that Monsieur de Riche's mother is to join us.
Oh, pity. No scrumptious gossip or juicy tidbits, unmentionable secrets, or even money matters. But you'll see, it will come. Despite all the goodwill in the world, you can't stop people scheming left and right around here.
Speak for yourself, sir.
Well, my friends, do any of you know the reason why we're here this time?
Not in the slightest. As for me, I've been invited by Sir Holm, a close friend of Lord Mortimer, but I do not know the reason why.
You see, Louis, every time Lord Mortimer organizes a reception, he always finds a moment to set up a chat with all the guests.
During which time we remake the world.
Accompanied by gallons of absinthe and cussing. I'll leave you to imagine the result.
So, if I understand rightly, Monsieur de Riche, you've come out here to join your mother. For what reason, exactly?
Like you, Mr. President, I'm here as a result of Lord Mortimer's invitation.
2 members of the same family here. That is rare.
You know what they say. You can pick your nose, but you can't pick your family.
Seriously, though, I know your mother well. Stay behind with me afterwards, and we'll take a moment to speak about her.
Good Lord! Washington is wearing the emblem of the Grand Master of the Golden Order. It's the highest distinction of the Order in the United States. It puts him on par with my mother. He must really know his stuff when it comes to the occult.
Good evening, my friends.
Holy shit. That's the man for my vision.
An urgent case has delayed our host, Lord Mortimer. He can't be present this evening, and he sends his deepest apologies.
He's asked me here and he hasn't even turned up? Great start. Do you know that man?
Sir Gregory Holm, an English aristocrat, very influential. He's also close to Lord Mortimer, so don't be surprised if he acts like he's at home.
And now, my dear guests, a light meal is served in the small salon. For those who would like to, you're invited to follow me into the next room.
My dear fellow, you must have read my thoughts. I shall follow.
We'll have to be careful not to make too much noise. One of Lord Mortimer's guests is relaxing.
Oh, we shall be quiet.
Don't take it the wrong way, Sir Holm, but I have already eaten. Thus, I shall be happy to remain by the fireside.
If you don't mind, Gregory, I should like to keep Mr. Washington company.
Please feel at home. And you, sir?
If I stay with Washington, we'll be able to speak about my mother. But on the other hand, I'd like to learn more about this Holm. I saw him in my vision. Let's see what Washington has to say.
Sir, if you don't mind, I shall stay here.
Do exactly as you please, young man.
Louis, thank you for staying. Just like you, when I arrived this morning, I found out that Sarah had gone missing. I know your mother well. Don't worry. Emily is from the English branch of the Golden Order.
And President Washington is in fact the leader of the Order in the United States.
I didn't know.
Sorry to have made you wait, but I didn't want to speak in front of the others.
You did well. Secrecy and discretion are the pillars of our organization.
If I can help in any way at all, please don't hesitate to ask, my lad. And if you have any other questions, now's the time.
And you, Emily, what do you think of my mother?
I only know her through the Order. The one time we met, we only exchanged a few words in a corridor of Parliament.
And was the exchange courteous or impassioned?
I'm not sure if I understand.
Was there any reason for her to be angry with you?
Under other circumstances, I would slap your face for even asking, but I'll put your lack of tact down to her disappearance. Know that your mother is a woman I would love to work with. Her reputation is entirely deserved. Mr. Washington will be able to tell you more.
Mr. Washington, you seem to be very familiar with my mother.
When did you last speak to her?
Philadelphia, 15 years ago. Sarah often went back and forth between France and the United States.
Yes, I remember those days. I didn't see her too often. Right. Would it be too much if I asked you a few more questions?
Not at all. Go ahead. But I can't promise I'll remember everything.
May I ask, when you saw each other, what did you talk about?
My mother has always been fascinated by strange powers. Did she talk to you about anything like that?
Yes. Her facility for discerning truths from rumor served me well. Such as preventing massacres, like the one at Salem, from happening again. Or convincing people that horsemen cannot ride around without heads. What was it that she used to say now?
Keep an open and logical mind?
Yes, that's it.
Thank you, sir. I was hoping to speak with Lord Mortimer. At least now I have some information, thanks to you.
I repeat, Lord Mortimer is a man of his word. You won't be disappointed. And I am persuaded that your mother's research is his main concern.
I wonder if Mother is still on the island. Could she not have taken a boat and left?
I don't see how. No vessel can moor closer than 200 yards. Not to mention the permanent presence of staff and servants. There is one strange thing, I grant you. This island is barely the size of Delaware, and despite that, no one has been able to locate your mother.
So my mother still must be on the island.
Don't worry, Louis. I'm sure nothing bad has happened to her.
Yes, I hope not.
Careful, they're coming back.
Well, I am impressed with all this splendor.
But don't spend too much time with Mr. Washington, my dear, or you'll lose your pretty accent. You seem to be intrigued by that statue.
Absolutely. It is remarkable.
Lord Mortimer is fond of atypical works of art. I won't disguise the fact that I find it all a little megalomaniacal. But I must say, he does have some outstanding pieces.
The statue is impressive, and so are the paintings. Rubens, the Caravage, Guignero. Lord Mortimer has very good taste, and the means to express it.
Oh, I see our young sir is a connoisseur.
Yes, in my spare time. Yet, I couldn't tell you who the artist of that painting there is. I think I recognize a theme, but the style intrigues me.
Saturn devouring his son. Oh, well, you wouldn't know. The artist is none other than Lord Mortimer. I thought for a long time that the painting wasn't finished, but my old friend assured me it was. Still, there's no accounting for taste.
Not very conventional, but it sure does hold your attention.
You will find that Lord Mortimer is not what one would call conventional, Monsieur de Richet.
Sir Holm, who was that young lady with you?
Elizabeth Adams, Mr. President. She would have liked to have stayed with us, but the poor thing is exhausted.
Elizabeth Adams?
Miss Adams is here to rest. You have perhaps already come across her in the corridors. She arrived a few days ago.
I perceived her, but we weren't introduced.
Rest assured, she is not here for the same reasons as yourselves. Consequently, I'm counting on your indulgence. On that note, it's very late. You must be exhausted. The servant will accompany you to your rooms.
Ladies, gentlemen, I bid you all good night. Mr. President, Your Eminence, Duchess, you have the same rooms as usual. You, Monsieur de Richet, will find your room at the end of the corridor.
Well, my friends, I am bone tired. I am off to my bed. See you in the morning.
Good night, sir. I shall do likewise.
Louis, I shall see you in the morning. Sleep well.
Good night. See you tomorrow.
Oh man, it's been quite a day.
Your turn? The servants are not very efficient.
De Richet can't be far away. They'll find her soon. Their search time is restricted, given that they must keep an eye on Adams.
I can take care of her, you know.
Yes. Well, in any case, I do thank you for bringing her to the island.
From what I've understood, the search of de Richet's room hasn't turned up any results.
Not yet, no. But we've put her son in there. Perhaps he'll find something.
That might come in handy.
Louis grows impatient at not yet having met the famous Lord Mortimer.
He will meet him tomorrow.
Oh, what a pity to lose a knight at the start of the game. Are you waiting for someone?
A young French soldier.
During our game of chess?
Don't worry, Gregory. The game won't disappear. I'll have one of my men escort you back.
Don't trouble yourself. I know my way out.
Ah, good evening, gentlemen. Please forgive me for this late hour.
It is never too late, and we have much to discuss. One last move?
Don't worry. Our games always seem to end like this.
Or always start like this. Come, come, take a seat, my friend.
A little nighttime stroll, Mr. President?
There's nothing like it for a good night's sleep.
Do not hesitate to ask a servant to show you back.
The corridors seem quite safe.
Peppermint, lime flower, and valerian. My miracle remedy when one can't get to sleep. A very good night to you, Mr. President.
Thank you. And to you too, sir.
I'm coming.
Excuse me. Am I bothering you?
No, not in the least. Is something wrong?
I'm going to need your help. Do you remember the young lady we spoke of in the hall?
Elizabeth Adams. Home introduced her to us.
Yes. Well, she is the daughter of my friend, the Vice President, John Adams. But she is supposed to be dead.
Yeah, that's bizarre. Fair enough.
Good heavens! I was present at her funeral.
It is disturbing indeed.
Yes. I need to make sure it's her. That's where you come in. I want you to distract Elizabeth while I search her room. And perhaps get my hands on some important information. At least I hope so. Elizabeth is in the small salon. If you hurry, you can still catch her. I just need 10 minutes.
But if my vision is true, there are two men nearby discussing very important issues, and one of them looks much like Mortimer. Washington is very kind, but I came to this island for my mother, not for his ghost stories. Sir, I don't feel well. I'm going to have to decline.
I see. Well, I hope you won't be needing my help one day.
I must act swiftly. I'll search my room later. Duchess Emily Hillsborough. Locked. Shouldn't be too difficult. This doesn't seem to be the room for my vision. It's a letter from Lady Hillsborough that she apparently never got to send. Office 101. Buckingham Palace, London?
Dear Mr. Walsingham, nothing to worry about. I cannot meet you at the palace as planned, as an important matter has cropped up, which requires all my attention. You will guess who I have gone to fetch at dear Mortimer's, and thus you will understand my hurried departure.
What on earth is she talking about?
I can guarantee you will be back as soon as possible. You will understand that to be able to serve you, I must assemble all my assets. You know I put the interests of the crown above my own. Tell the Queen I, of course, will assume all of the responsibility and consequences for my absence. Your devoted servant, E.H.
Whoa, this looks Walsingham. Where have I heard that name before? Oh, yes, that's right. It's the name of the famous master spy for Queen Elizabeth I. Seeing that the fellow has been dead for the past 200 years, it must be an alias. No doubt. Emily's involved in the secret dealings of the crown. Well, at any rate, Emily didn't come here to finish up a deal with anyone. She came here looking for someone just like I did. It's Emily's room. She's fast asleep. As beautiful by night as she is by day. An origami? This origami talks about the disappearance of a child. Only borrowing it, of course.
Sir, I understand your eagerness, but the pressure on my family complicates the task.
Relax, my friend. Your relatives will soon be safe.
So what I saw in my vision really did happen. Well, I hope I haven't missed anything important.
I thank you so much.
Don't mention it. Now that's settled, let us speak about your support.
Yes. You mentioned earlier some assistance from the Golden Order?
Absolutely. I have concluded an agreement with their leader, Lady Sarah Faustine de Richet.
Another case that Mother didn't tell me about.
The funds from the Order will finance the building of a foundry in Tuscany. You will soon be able to count on 100 or more cannons for your future campaigns.
I was not expecting so much help from you. When can I meet this de Richet?
Well, unfortunately, something has cropped up. De Richet has disappeared.
Disappeared? What, here?
Yes, but the staff are redoubling efforts to find her, I assure you.
So the agreement, is it on or off?
It is on. Her right-hand man has just arrived here to help us find her. And it is none other than her son, Louis Maurice de Richet. I wager he will ensure his mother's commitments are met.
Louis. Not an easy name to live with in these times.
Of course. But from now on, you will deal with him.
This man, it can only be Mortimer.
Very well. I will seek him out.
Merde. I better get away from here.
Louis?
Emily? I can explain.
Perhaps, but remain still.
But first, you could perhaps remove the blade from my throat?
You have 10 seconds to explain your presence here.
Appearances can be misleading. I'm only passing through.
And the origami bird? I suppose it simply flew into your pocket.
Actually, I was just putting it back.
Oh, don't push your luck. What are you doing in my room?
I was only passing through. I swear it to you. I was in a hurry. I didn't know whose room I was entering. Look!
For someone in a hurry, you still found time to ogle me naked on my bed. Oh yes, the first time you came through, I was awake.
It was dark, and I didn't realize it was you. I had to look closely.
Shut your mouth, sir. You are only making it worse for yourself. You have been a great disappointment to me. Please leave now.
Your Eminence, what are you doing here?
I wanted to speak to you about something important. Do you still have my letter on you? The one I gave you in the hall?
Why do you ask?
I have a name to add to it.
Here it is.
Thank you, my son. Ah, I see that it's still sealed. I was right to put my trust in you, Louis. Now, give me 1 second, please. I can't imagine what would have happened if I hadn't added this name to the list. Please, be sure to give this letter to Sarah the moment you see her.
You can count on it.
Have a good night.
exhausted. I better go to bed. I'll search my room tomorrow. If Mother stayed here right before me, you never know. And Mortimer had better show up. All right. In my vision yesterday, I saw that Mother had this room before me. I'd better search the room. Who knows? Maybe she left me something behind. Writing material. From what I see, no ink's ever been used on this quill. The smell reminds me of something. It smells like lemon. That's odd. Here's something will undermine my botanist's appreciation for the local climate. Someone's picked some lemons. I'd be surprised if my mother didn't help herself to a few. She was always going on about the surprising properties of lemons. Oh, this bookcase is well stocked. Oh, this book has been put back the wrong way round. A Voyage Around the World, the travelogue of the explorer Louis-Antoine de Bougainville. One of Mother's favorite books. What a coincidence. And I don't believe in coincidences. It's just too much. I don't know what's going on here, but if you felt threatened, I'll bet you'd leave a clue, wouldn't you, Mother? Found it. A faint sign of the order, barely visible. Mother, you undoubtedly must have hidden a clue in this book. Let's see if I can find anything else in this room. Come on, Louis, think. Think. Let's recap. My mother was in this room. I found a rare edition of her favorite book. She must have left something behind. She must have used the writing materials. The quill has been used, but not with regular ink. What if she used lemon juice instead? An old trick used to hide messages. A message using invisible ink. I bet she used a lemon to leave a message. Now, how do I reveal the message? Aha! It's working! The heat reveals the message. Let's see what my mother wrote. Where all eyes size you up, you must pass by the Gorgon. Gorgon was the name of Medusa in Greek mythology. On the other hand, where all eyes size you up, I don't get it. And judging by the number of paintings in the manor, could be anywhere. After that, she adds, beware hero. The beast always charges the best protected soldier. And that's its weakness. What is my mother trying to tell me? Since you've gone to so much trouble, you must not have only found something important, but you must have also felt like you were in great danger. Now I better hurry and find that damn Medusa.
Sir, dinner is served in the red salon.
Typical. I'm not hungry. Please give my apologies to all the guests.
Sir Holm requests your presence, sir.
Well, I guess I'm just gonna have to wait before going and looking for my Medusa.
Tell him I'll be there in a minute.
That's the door to Elizabeth's room.
For God's sakes, what happened in here?
My dear Elizabeth, I'm writing to inform you of some unfortunate news. We won't be able to meet as planned on the first Sunday of May. I've been told that you're no better, and, unfortunately, your brothers and I are absolutely snowed under by the work required to govern this new country. Please excuse us. As soon as we can get free, Even if it's just for a day, I promise we shall come and see you. Your loving father, John Adams. P.S. Don't hold it against your mother. She still isn't ready. Please don't judge her. I'm sure you'll be able to put all of this behind you one day. June 11th, 1791. My dear Elizabeth, your last letter gave me much cause for concern. Your words were so cold, as if emotions no longer matter to you. Father maintains that the secondary effects of your treatment still trouble you, but that they will soon subside. Should I believe him? I cling to the belief that we shall soon see each other again, at long last, right soon. Your loving sister, Abigail. P.S. Don't forget to tell me what present you want. 30 November, 1791. My dear sister, the cancellation of our reunion hit me like a stab to the heart. Father told me it was for your well-being, but I can't help but blame him. He claims that your condition has worsened and that it could be dangerous for both of us if we met. If only I knew where you were, believe me, I'd be at your side. I haven't received any news from you in a long time. Please write. Your loving sister, Abigail. P.S. I hope you like the enclosed talisman, August 24th, 1792. Elizabeth, I'm driven to despair and doubt there is any point in writing to you. I'm not even sure you'll receive my letters. Father controls my correspondence more and more. I am certain he filters our exchanges. Thankfully, one of the chambermaids is able to help me get my letters to you. But they still remain unanswered. I often think about you and pray every day to be able to hold you tight. We have so much time to make up. I beg you, answer me, please. Your loving sister, Abigail. P.S. That horrible woman came again yesterday. She spent a long time speaking with Father. I didn't understand everything because they spoke in French, but I'm sure they were talking about you. Looks like I found a box containing some kind of white crystals. These are magnesium crystals, a fairly effective remedy for easing anxiety. An untutored hand copied these notes. Looks like a healing method. Well, that's a pity. The writing is barely legible. Feet and hands are bound. A piece of cloth in the mouth prevents the tongue from being sectioned. It looks like preparation for an exorcism. Is Elizabeth really possessed? That must be the door to the room of the soldier I saw in my vision. My dearest son, I'm writing to implore you to act quickly. The situation is rapidly worsening here. Paoli continues to steer our motherland, Corsica, toward open warfare between France and England. His men are everywhere. We are obliged to go into hiding and are unable to remain in the same place for more than 2 days. I wouldn't be surprised if they targeted us soon. Make haste, my son. You hold our destiny in your hands. Your loving mother, Maria Letizia Bonaparte.
Excuse me, Monsieur de Richet. I really need to talk to you.
Hello. You're Elizabeth Adams, aren't you?
Yes, I regret that we haven't been properly introduced.
Do you often fall ill like that?
Yes, sometimes. But don't worry, I guess I'm kind of a frail flower.
Maybe you were feeling hungry.
No, it was nothing to do with being hungry. Fatigue, probably. I've been feeling more and more exhausted lately.
Well, get some rest then, Elizabeth. Take advantage of the sea air and you'll soon get your strength back.
Do you really want to know what made me ill? Last night, I found out that your mother was on the island. What are you doing here?
Excuse me, but speaking frankly, why would you care?
I know your mother very well.
Really?
Yes, I have been in your mother's care ever since I was born.
She nursed you?
Oh, I wouldn't say nursed, no. I remember her stare, cold as ice. Her sadistic hands pressing over my mouth to silence me while I screamed in pain. I remember her knees, too. She held me down with them while she cut and burned scars into me.
Hold on a minute. What do you mean?
You can ask her when you see her.
Huh, she's getting more and more agitated.
Look, I've got to go.
Wait. I need to know more about you and my mother. Why did she put you through all of that? There must be some reason for what she did.
What's the point of rubbing salt in the wounds?
There's no way my mother just did that to you out of spite. However horrible the things she did were, I've got to believe she did it in your best interest.
Do you have any idea how stupid that sounds? I know your little game. You're no different from the rest of them. You couldn't give a damn about me. The only thing you're interested in is finding out about your mother.
Don't say that. Not everyone wants to use you. Some people care about you, don't they? Haven't you got a sister?
Yes.
I'm sure she loves you with all her heart.
She's the only one who cares about me. I would have put an end to it all by now if it weren't for her. Since you insist, I'll tell you how I met your mother.
Thanks for trusting me.
You see, before I was born, my mother often suffered from hallucinations and fits of anger. Soon people could barely recognize her. She became a completely different person. So my father spent an enormous amount of money paying for the best doctors, but none of them were able to cure her. The last resort was to call a priest.
So, is that what your father did?
No. He went to an expert in the occult.
Ah, my mother.
Her reputation already extended beyond our borders. My mother's fits stopped at my birth, and Sarah de Richet concluded that the evil had passed into me. Not only did it encourage her to stay, but she took the opportunity to advise my father to separate me from the rest of my family. That's how I was declared stillborn. My fate was decided that very day.
It would coincide with my mother's frequent trips to America.
I had my first fit when I was 3. That's when your mother began her experiments to rid me of the evil inside.
I understand how you feel, but I know my mother. I'm sure she had her reasons, even if it seems difficult to believe.
Everything she put me through was all for nothing. My whole life was ruined for nothing.
So what brings you here then?
My father used to know Sir Holm. He offered to introduce me to the world's leading authority in the occult.
Lord Mortimer.
He was my last hope. Until I found out he had also invited your mother.
It's got to be a coincidence. I don't believe for a second she's come here for you.
You can't change my mind about this, Louis. My days are numbered, and I know it.
Dear friends, I bid you welcome. I hope the night was not too short. Your Eminence, Duchess, Monsieur de Richet, allow me to introduce our new guests. They arrived during the night. Johann Christoph von Wollner, Minister of Religious Affairs and close aide of Frederick William II, King of Prussia. Napoleon Bonaparte, Lieutenant of the French Revolutionary Army. And Jacques Peroux, French Revolutionary Tribunal Judge. Unfortunately, my friends, Lord Mortimer will not be joining us this morning, but he should be with us later. So, let us begin.
What is Mortimer playing at? He tells me to come urgently and he sends no one to meet me?
That's right.
Yes.
Where did you find it?
Thank you again for the wine, Your Eminence. It is served every day at the king's table.
I am delighted to hear it.
Wollner and Piaggi seem to be getting along well.
In
And you, sir?
Surprising when you know Volner prohibited religious practices in Prussia. Renowned member of the Rose Croix Order, former Freemason, and great lover of alchemy. And look at Piaggi fawning over him. I really do have a problem digesting political protocol.
My dear Johann, how are you?
Glad to make landfall at last. And yourself?
Very well.
And your husband?
He's poorly. The French Revolution gives him terrible headaches.
Oh, I understand. I shall feel better too, as soon as the situation is settled.
If by chance the French crisis is emulated in Berlin, there will always be a refuge for you in London, my dear.
Your offer does you honor, Emily. But London is much closer to Paris than Berlin. Beware. The French are capable of sailing up the Thames straight to the Houses of Parliament.
Oh, my friend, I am shaking in my clogs.
Is the wine to your liking?
Very much so, Sir Gregory. Such complexity. Typically French. A Sauterne, isn't it?
Absolutely.
If I'm not mistaken, this is not Lord Mortimer's favorite wine. It is yours.
In his absence, I have taken the liberty of making a slight deviation from the rules. But I count on your discretion.
Don't worry, I appreciate the same grape varieties as you. I remember the last time we tasted that nectar here at this table. The finest minds of the century were present.
And the last time we drank it, the orphanage in Bloomsbury was still in ruins.
Would you repeat that?
Oh, well, I put some small effort into the works. The orphanage reopened just before Christmas. The bedrooms, washrooms, and the classrooms had all been refurbished.
I don't know what to say. You have given the girls a wonderful Christmas gift. Thank you.
I made a promise. Now it is done.
It's the first time I've ever seen her so moved. Just mentioning that orphanage broke right through Emily's hard shell.
Oh, dear.
Is everything all right?
Yes, thank you. I had a moment of absence, but here I am again.
What do you think of Volner?
Louis, I haven't forgotten what happened last night. Leave me alone or I'll stick my fork in your hand.
Show us your teeth.
My friend.
Have you any information on this Napoleon?
And right he was too.
What do you think, madam? What is this Bonaparte doing here?
The presence of a soldier is never a good sign. It can only mean there's going to be further war. To answer your question, I only know that his family were in favor of the revolution, and that it almost cost them their lives.
Thank you, that's helpful.
Who does not know of her, sir?
Monsieur de Richet? It would seem we have common interests. Could we speak in private, please?
Oh, yes, I heard the news. What a story.
I'm not sure if I understand.
Lord Mortimer and the Golden Order, through your mother, have concluded a financial agreement.
Stay composed, Louis. I'm listening.
An agreement for cannons. Lord Mortimer assured me that you are to take over the project on behalf of your mother. You must know that I am deeply sorry about their disappearance, but I must validate the deal urgently if I want to be able to organize things properly.
I haven't seen Lord Mortimer yet. I'm afraid I'll be unable to answer your questions.
He assured me that you could replace your mother during her absence.
I appreciate his confidence, but still, this is a bit hasty. But please continue.
Of course, but I need to know if I can count you among my allies.
Well, of course.
And for that, I have a little question for you. The agreement stipulates an aid of 50,000 louis d'or for 200 cannon.
Surely such an amount will buy twice as many cannons. Don't try to pull a fast one on me. We're both young, but We are not naive.
Please don't be offended. I just wanted to make sure you knew what you were talking about. And I am reassured. I have one last question I would like to pose to you. We don't know each other yet, you and I. And I need to make sure that we both share the same vision for the future of France. Given the hard times that have befallen our beautiful country, what do you think it would take to restore its luster?
And you haven't seen anything yet.
I'm not sure if I understand. As for myself, I did not know.
I think what France is lacking today is a truly strong leader ready to govern her. Someone who will restore her luster, who will propel her forward so once again she becomes a proud nation respected by all. A man capable of both rebuilding the country from the inside and, at the same time, developing exterior relations. Someone with a vision, I think. The right person still remains to be found.
You're right, my friend. I hear your words, and I agree. Monsieur de Richet, I am reassured. I am very happy to have met you. Lord Mortimer was right to put his trust in you. I hope to work with you in the very near future. I would like to thank you for your support by offering you this humble little gift.
Reflections on the Revolution in France. Monsieur Bonaparte, I thank you for this gesture, and please know that I, too, am delighted to have met you.
My friends, I would like to say a few words, please. I would like to thank Lord Mortimer, and you, Sir Holm, for bringing us all together here. Those of us for whom it is not the first time here, like me, are all trembling in sweet anticipation of the arrival of our host. For the rest, I would like to reassure you that Lord Mortimer always has a few surprising projects to propose. But I can assure you that each and every one of us has always benefited from them. The last time I came to this place, Lord Mortimer offered to help me in my electoral campaign for the presidency of the United States. And it is imminently clear that his support was an invaluable aid to us. We are here among like-minded people. So let us put aside the conflicts in which some of our nations find themselves at present. So I raise my glass in honor of you all, my new and old friends.
I trust you shall not be disappointed, Mr. Washington. Right, we shall meet again tomorrow. All the guests will be present, as well as Lord Mortimer, I hope. Until then, I trust you will find plenty to keep you amused.
Well, Your Eminence, do you still have any room left?
Ah, my son, this sin of gluttony is the most difficult of all in my eyes. Nevertheless, what a charming moment we have had together. I'm delighted I was able to talk to Mr. von Wollner. We hadn't spoken to each other for an eternity.
Yes. I noticed that Your Eminence knew a fair number of people at the table.
The benefit of age, my son. This isn't my first invitation to Lord Mortimer's. You will see, it's the perfect place to make new friends. Indeed, I noticed that you and Mr. Bonaparte had already begun.
Ah, I adapt quickly to local customs. It's what I was taught.
And you are right to do so, my son. But tell me, have you had any news of your mother since your arrival?
Alas, still nothing, Your Eminence. But I still haven't been able to meet Lord Mortimer.
Do not worry. It is typical of him. What can I say? Lord Mortimer is a very busy man. I should think you are beginning to worry.
To tell you the truth, not really.
You are right. Be positive. Perhaps Sarah is in the company of Lord Mortimer, and they will both turn up shortly.
But while I have you with me, I have a question for you.
Go ahead, Louis. What can I do for you?
If I said to you, where all eyes size you up, would it mean anything to you?
I don't know if it's the place you're looking for, Louis. but it makes me think of the portrait gallery.
There's a gallery here? Can you tell me where to find it, please?
Of course. Just go through the door at the end. It will lead into the library. Continue all the way through, and you'll end up in the gallery. You'll see it, Louis. When you get there, you'll know.
Thank you very much, Your Eminence. On that last word, then, I shall leave you to fight your demons. See you later, Your Eminence.
See you later, my son.
Where all eyes size you up. Chances are, that's the room my mother spoke of.
And she also spoke of a Medusa. Should I go and try to find the creature now?
I've got to find out what Mother was trying to do with her. The Medusa. A hero armed with a sword? A hero with a lantern? And the last one holding a shield. I'll stake my life on it. All the statues form a single scene together. The poor devils are about to face the beast. Let's give them a helping hand. The Origin of Myths, a reinterpretation of legendary creatures. Just what I need. The text is in French on the left-hand page and in Latin on the right hand. Let's find the chapter on the Medusa. Hang on. This version is significantly different from the regular one. It recounts how men have always belittled women in society. Harpies, mermaids, the chimera, the hydra, the gorgons. Ah, the section on the Medusa. While some of the heroes divert attention from the gorgon, the hero with the sword brandishes his weapon at the Medusa. The mechanism is worn here. Whenever the shield is not turned toward the sword, the machinery freezes up. The statue must have been in this position most of the time, betrayed by the marks of time. So that makes it easy. The shield must face the sword. Whoa.
Rah! For Pete's sake, Emily! You scared the pants off me. Don't ever do that again.
Well, keep your nose out of my business then.
I don't know what you're talking about.
First my room, now here. Stop following me, you're becoming a nuisance.
Wait a minute, You're not implying that I'm here to court you, are you?
Oh, Louis, I'm just stating the obvious. You wouldn't be the first, rest assured.
Yeah, this is embarrassing. And the worst thing is it seems to be working.
Stop fooling around and tell me what you're doing here.
Oh, yeah? So tell me what you're doing here. Yeah, just like me.
Probably, but I asked the question first.
Well then, we'll pretend you haven't asked me yet.
What about a little gallantry, Louis? Come on, I'm listening. What are you doing here?
Since you insist, Duchess, gallantry obliges this. Ladies first.
You just won't give in, will you?
I'm sorry, madam. It isn't in my nature.
Well, no matter. I'll tolerate your presence this one time. Now, since you're here, make yourself useful. Look around on your side. I'll do the same on mine. And if you find anything of interest, let me know.
Oh, yeah. In your dreams. At your service, madam.
Here's something interesting. A manor in Maine, hundreds of acres of land in Catalonia, properties in Shanghai. Incredible. Some of these deeds are over 600 years old, and all signed by the hand of Mortimer.
I wonder if that's what inspired my mother's attention.
How come all these documents have Mortimer's signature on them?
Do you think all these properties really belong to him?
See those fine scratches around the words?
Yes, and?
The ink barely spreads on the paper, it spreads exactly the same way on the signature. The deed was written using the same ink. If it is a fake, then it's a professional job. Maybe Mortimer is immortal or capable of living for a very long time like Methuselah. A first smile. Careful. Keep that up and soon you'll end up laughing.
Carry on sprouting inanities like that, and indeed I might. These documents are intriguing, but do you really think that's what attracted your mother's attention here?
And how do you know my mother was interested in this room?
I didn't know, I just supposed she was. And you just confirmed it. So, do you think she found what she came for?
I don't know. She was obsessed with Mortimer, and I must confess, these property deeds are troubling.
If that's the case, why would she have left them?
Once again, I don't know. We'll have to ask her when we find her. And what's your take? Why keep such a collection hidden in a secret room? Any thoughts?
Mortimer has every reason in the world to conceal it, even if only to keep it from people like us.
Hey, Emily, we're not thieves. We're only looking. I wonder why my mother didn't make it clear what she was interested in here.
She didn't have time to write it down, or maybe she wasn't sure of what she was looking for.
Or she wanted to protect her discoveries. It's disturbing.
You'll just have to search the rest of the room. Maybe you'll find something. What is that you found?
A cameo pendant. What's going on?
Nothing.
For crying out loud, Emily, you lunged for that jewel like your life depended on it. Tell me what this is about.
No. I can't trust a man who sneaks into my room in the middle of the night.
Are you really gonna use that against me every time we meet?
It's difficult to pretend nothing happened. We just met, Louis. I like you, but I can't just suddenly open myself up like a book to you.
Listen, Emily. It seems pretty obvious to me that you haven't come here for the sole purpose of sampling Mortimer's cellar. Stop all the clever evasions and just trust me.
And why the hell should I place my trust in you, Louis?
When are you going to understand that I just want to help you?
What do you expect? That I'll fall into your arms and say yes to everything you want?
What are you talking about? I'm only asking you to trust me a little. If only on principle, as a member of the Golden Order, for example.
I'll admit you are fairly reliable.
That's it? I was expecting more.
Well, I'm prepared to trust you when it comes to choosing a French cheese. But I've nothing to gain by confiding in you any further than that.
Nothing to gain? Damn it, Emily! I'm only trying to help you. Stop needing to gain something all the time.
Because you think I need help?
Just like everyone. You have your strengths and your weaknesses. And there's no use pretending otherwise.
Ha! And I bet you found out where I'm weak, haven't you?
You think your scathing wit protects you, but in fact, it makes you blind. No sooner have people introduced themselves than you already see them in a bad light. You play the part of a strong woman, and yes, you are a strong woman, of course. But what I see is a sensitive young lady who lacks self-confidence. Stop adopting a defensive posture, and you'll see just how quickly new doors will open.
There is some truth to what you say. I might have some weaknesses, but I don't need your help to overcome them. And I'm simply not contemplating collaborating with anyone at this time. Do you understand?
Oh, it's crystal clear. You don't like people telling you what to do, and you do like giving the orders to everyone.
If I were the matron you speak of, I would have found an underling to search this place, and I would be sound asleep in my bed. I already have a work partner. I know my weaknesses. I don't doubt that your abilities will be of use to me, but I already have all that, thanks to my teammate.
Is there any chance you might tell me who he is?
No, I've already said too much. Consider yourself lucky I've even given you this much. It's extremely rare, believe me.
Come on, don't stop now that you've come this far. You know that eventually I'll end up making you talk.
Well, since no one can resist you, let's see if you can guess who my partner is.
You're a gambler. So, your partner is your sister. She's your partner. She's the one you're looking for.
Well, I am impressed. How the devil did you guess I had a sister? Virtually no one even knows. When it comes to getting results, you are very good, I grant you that. You deserve to know why the sight of the cameo pendant affected me so strongly. I thought it belonged to Emma, my twin sister.
Oh. Now I get why you said you had a memory for two.
Yes, you can't imagine to what extent, though. As children, everyone got us mixed up. So one day we decided to play along. Since then, we have become one and the same. We have officially erased the identity of my sister Emma. Emily Hillsborough. The woman with two faces.
Clever. But isn't it complicated? How do you make it work?
One of us has no existence in the outside world. We share everything. First for one, then for the other. We dress the same, wear the same makeup, we speak the same. We've learned to act as one. When we accept a mission, we both turn up. This time, though, she went ahead, and I was meant to wait for her on the mainland. She was meant to meet Sir Home and bring back the details so we could work out who would follow up.
And there was a problem?
She was supposed to return from Mortimer's 1 week ago. The boat turned up at Plymouth, but alas, no trace of my sister. Instead, a sailor passed me a message from home, notifying me of her sudden disappearance.
So, my mother and your sister go missing just a few days apart. That's strange. Maybe their disappearances are linked.
It's clearly a possibility, but up to now I haven't found a trace of either of them.
None of this is very reassuring.
By the way, Louis, now that you are in on the secret, you are obliged to keep it to yourself, or you will pay very dearly.
Don't worry. Your secret is safe with me.
It's time to leave.
So, what do you think of our first adventure?
I must admit, it has been fun by your side.
Same here.
Oh, she's been drinking too much again.
Louis, I need to talk to you right now.
Good evening, Elizabeth. Actually, this is not a good time.
I'm begging you, please don't leave me alone.
I'll be waiting for you in your room, but don't be late.
I was sure there was a certain je ne sais quoi between us.
Louis, we need to talk now. Otherwise, it'll be too late.
Looks like Elizabeth really needs me, but if I start talking to her, for sure Emily won't wait for me. What should I do?
Excuse me, Elizabeth, but some very urgent business has cropped up. We can speak tomorrow.
No, Louis, don't leave me alone. They've come back.
Good night, madam.
Well, well, Louis, you took your sweet time. What did our poor Elizabeth want?
She probably wanted to chat more about my mother.
Really? So Miss Adams is somehow linked to your mother?
In a way, I guess she is. But I thought all of that could wait until tomorrow.
That young girl seems very...
Emily? Have I misunderstood something here? What are you doing in my room?
And for a while now, the question has been nagging at me.
And that explains why I now find you here, in my bed. Go ahead. Ask me the question that's been burning at your lips.
I know your mother was here to meet someone, but I can't figure out who.
Oh, so that's what's been hiding behind all this.
We are both members of the Order, Louis. Let's try to be honest with each other. I have followed with great interest your affair in Paris, in connection with Mr. von Borchardt. You managed to steal something from him, if I'm not mistaken.
Emily, you suddenly seem to be very interested in my private affairs. You aren't pumping me for information, are you?
Not in the least, Louis. I'm deeply hurt that you'd even think such a thing of me.
Look, I'm sorry. I just thought that...
Well, you thought wrong. I was interested in you, that's all. But that seems to be beyond you.
Don't take it like that. My mother and I recovered an old occult book that von Borchardt was planning to resell on the black market. There. Now you know it all.
This is quite fascinating. But just what did Sarah expect to accomplish here?
My mother came here to find out who von Borchardt planned on selling the book to.
And did she find out?
I have no idea, but I think she thought it would be someone invited to Mortimer's next party.
You mean one of us here now?
That's what I think. It wouldn't be you, by any chance.
Unfortunately, no. I was planning to steal it myself. Thank you for all this information, Louis. Right. Enough chatting. Come and join me instead. I have to go, Louis. I don't want anyone finding me here in the morning.
You're right. Well, have a good night.
Good night. See you tomorrow, rested and ready.
Sure thing. Lord Mortimer?
Monsieur de Richet, at last we meet.
How many times must I tell you? You must never put your life on the line for me.
Mother has always had a fascination for Lord Mortimer, but has never wanted to tell me why.
We are doing our utmost to find your mother as quickly as possible.
Without your mother, hundreds of men of the cloth would have gone to the guillotine.
All I can tell you is I'm looking for my sister.
Do you believe your mother capable of torturing a child?
An agreement for cannons. Lord Mortimer assured me that you are to take over the project on behalf of your mother.
Johann Christoph von Wollner, Minister of Religious Affairs, and Jacques Peroux, French Revolutionary Tribunal Judge. You will find that Lord Mortimer is not what one would call conventional, Monsieur de Richet.
I do apologize for being late. I was obliged to clear up some urgent business. At last we meet, Monsieur de Richet. Do you mind if I call you Louis?
Please do.
Thank you. I wish to apologize wholeheartedly, Louis. I made you cross the seas, and I wasn't even here to welcome you. When I asked you to join us here, it was, of course, in the hope that you would help us find your mother. However, there may be some new developments, but I don't know if they are linked to your mother. We have found Elizabeth Adams' body in her room. I'm afraid she was brutally murdered, stabbed several times.
I can't believe it. We bumped into each other last night on our way to bed.
Yes, I know. Duchess Hillsborough informed us that she accompanied you at the beginning of the evening. You apparently bumped into Miss Adams, who wanted to speak to you. We are told you turned her away, and she went away on her own.
That's correct.
Do you know what she wanted to see you about, by any chance?
Not in the least.
Pity. The poor child was probably trying to find help.
I thought it could wait until tomorrow.
Apparently not. Louis, I shan't hide the fact that this tragedy puts me in a very delicate situation. I cannot risk upsetting the smooth operation of our next conference. But the case cannot remain unaddressed. I must reassure my guests, and justice will be done. And for that to happen, I must ask for your help.
Why is that?
You met Elizabeth. You spoke together, I believe. She trusted you. Listen, Louis. Find out who could have committed this murder. I refuse to believe that one of my guests is the murderer. I want to know who is responsible for this. And I trust you. You have my backing. You must stop at nothing. Can I count on you?
Of course. How would you like me to proceed?
Maybe you could start by going to the scene of the crime. Elizabeth was attacked in her room.
Do you have any suspects in mind, my lord?
I spent most of the night talking with Sir Gregory and His Eminence Piaggi, so I think you can remove them from the list of suspects. Monsieur Bonaparte and President Washington left the party after midnight, I believe. They were tired and went up to bed.
Can you tell me anything else about what happened?
Now, Louis, I wouldn't want to influence you. Get over there and form your own opinion.
Right. I'll get over there immediately.
Thank you, Louis. Now, once you've finished, come back and let me know your findings. I'll be waiting. And Louis, you've got permission to search through the guests' rooms. They've all been notified and they agree.
Your Eminence, I imagine that you've heard the news about Miss Adams.
What a tragedy, my son. How could such a thing have happened?
That's exactly what I'm trying to find out. Did you notice anything out of the ordinary last night?
I saw the young French soldier, Bonaparte, I believe, hanging around near Miss Adams' room. But I would not want to get an innocent man into trouble, Louis. It's probably nothing.
Not to worry, Your Eminence. If he is innocent, then he has nothing to fear. Do you know why Monsieur Bonaparte was hanging around her room like that?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised to learn that the dashing young soldier had become infatuated with a fragile young woman who looked a bit lost. But I don't think he got a very warm welcome.
Bonaparte and Adams? But they didn't even know each other, did they?
I couldn't say, Louis. One last thing. You must know that Peru hit young Adams on the evening of our arrival. He apparently violently attacked her in the small salon.
Do you know anything else about the attack?
Oh, unfortunately not. I arrived too late to intervene. Young Miss Adams had already been submitted to the foul lout's rat. Otherwise, you can believe me, it would not have happened.
Good day, Monsieur de Richet.
Mr. Volner, are you looking for anything in particular? Next to Elizabeth's room?
No, nothing special.
I'd have thought this is not really the shortest way to get to your suite.
Yes, I wasn't really looking where I was going. I shall leave you now, sir. I will return to my room.
Clock stopped at 3:54. If it was smashed during the murder, then I've just established the time of the crime. That would clear Emily de facto because she was still with me at the time. The blade is short and thin, well sharpened, apparently. It's covered in blood, still fresh. The lower part of the handle is unsullied by blood. The murderer gripped the weapon so tight that there's no blood where he held it. The handprint indicates a small and slender hand. There are numerous marks on the body. She must have fought like a lion. It couldn't have happened without a lot of noise. There are also a number of old scars. Scarring, ugh. Scarring isn't very regular, but they're mostly from old cuts. People who scar themselves in this way generally do so to relieve some kind of psychological suffering. By trying to master the pain, they establish their self-control. Scars are superficial and were made several years ago. She wasn't trying to take her own life. She had the Sigillum de Ameth tattooed on her. the symbol of the living God, written in the language of angels, according to believers. It is rare for someone to know about symbols like this at her age, unless her mother was a tutor. Symbol of Masons? What's that doing here? I count no fewer than 9 wounds on the thorax, with a lot of blood. On first sight, I'd say that's what caused her death. Some of these tattoos are veritable works of... What's that? The skin between her breasts is different. Bloody hell! This tattoo was drawn on a page of leather and stitched onto her skin. Probably during childhood, if the scars are anything to go by. It's the same kind of tattoo as on the rest of her body. It looks as though the wounds were inflicted from a precise angle, as if the murderer was standing behind Elizabeth. The wounds are clean and look like they've been inflicted by a sharp object. Some of the lacerations have damaged vital organs, the heart, the right lung, which is perforated. Most of them weren't given with much force. She might even have survived. But the stab in the heart, though not all that deep, sealed her fate. I see no sign of bruising on the skull. The only clue is a scar from a previous craniectomy. Poor Elizabeth, she must have been very young when she went through all that. That's torture. She also has old scars around the neck, maybe mutilations. She bled from the nose. There's signs of bleeding, but I don't see any traces of bruising. What a strange smell. Her breath smells of alcohol and of laudanum. People use it to relieve pain. No wounds, but blood on the right hand. Nothing on the left except that tattooed symbol. This pinnacle's a trap. The wearers of the pinnacle thought that they were protected from evil by surrounding it inside the different circles of the pinnacle. No marks or bruising around the wrists. It doesn't look like she was tied up or held by force. Blood, but no trace of blows on the legs. More tattoos, similar to those on the rest of her body. Let's see. No trace of sexual assault or rape. The direction of the blood streaks caused by the wounds to the thorax show that she was standing when she lost blood. This proves that she was standing when she was assassinated, possibly held by someone or something. Knocked over a bottle of wine. What kind of plonk is that? Hey, it's a Bordeaux. That's a Chateau de Briand. It's a great wine. I don't know what's happened to this wine, but it's undrinkable. Poor girl bled to death. Whoever left that footprint has boats for feet. That's at least a size 15. Where's a size like that here? Peru? Washington, maybe. Vials of laudanum. The label shows that this laudanum comes straight from America. I wonder if Washington's involved. A pentagram. What the hell's been going on here? Contrary to what most people believe, a pentagram's not there to conjure up, I don't know what evil or demonic creature. With the point toward the top, the pentagram is an ancient symbol of protection against evil. Many esoteric rituals are based on this shape. Could Elizabeth have been sacrificed during an occult ritual? A pistol? Fairly new, I'd say, and judging by the weight of it, fairly light. A tribute engraved on the barrel. To the liberators of France. There's a few dried traces of blood on the grip. Difficult to know for sure how they got there. It's extremely well maintained. The barrel is perfectly clean. It isn't loaded and there's no traces of gunshot residue. I'd conclude that it hasn't been used recently. Right. I shall have to find its owner. piece of fabric. High quality at that. I'd say it's silk. Going by the texture and the gray hue, it must come from a dress, that kind that women of quality wear. The color doesn't correspond to Emily's black outfits, and Elizabeth doesn't have anything quite like this in her wardrobe. Let's take a closer look. It's a little dirty. It must come from the bottom of the dress where it touches the ground. I recognize that moire pattern. It's the same as the travel dress my mother was wearing when she left. But why the hell did she come into this room? It looks like a note between Emily and Washington about trade deals. The English and the Americans are preparing a peace treaty. It would appear that Emily is in secret discussion with Washington about reopening trade between the United States and England. If such an arrangement came into being, France would suffer dearly.
Greetings, Louis.
Mr. President, you can guess why I'm here.
Of course.
Lord Mortimer has sent me to ask you a few questions about last night.
It's... How am I going to tell Elizabeth's father that she's dead?
I know, Mr. President. I shall endeavor to find out the truth about this tragedy. I must ask you to help me, though. Please.
Find the degenerate pig who did this, Louis.
Tell me, Mr. President, had you spoken to Elizabeth since your arrival? You know her father. You thought she was dead.
No, I didn't. And I believe I'll be taking my remorse with me to my grave. I wanted to, but I didn't know where to begin.
You can't blame yourself. You couldn't have known that her days were numbered. Were you aware that Elizabeth took laudanum?
Yes. She came to ask me for some. She had finished her reserve, I believe.
Did she tell you why she was so desperate to get some, Mr. President?
She said she had terrible migraines that wouldn't go away.
More likely for the voices she heard, not the migraines.
Do you take it regularly, Mr. President?
Unfortunately, I do, Louis. I still suffer from a terrible toothache, and it's not likely to get any better.
It's just for that, then?
Old age, my young friend. I don't wish it upon you, but you'll soon see. At my age, it's rare to have no problems in that domain.
And do you take a lot?
A moderate amount, Louis. Only the dosage indicated on the prescription of my doctor.
Do you know if she had any enemies, Mr. President?
Not that I know of. I heard about her altercation with Mr. Peru, but that case was closed, if I'm not mistaken. But if in doubt, I wouldn't leave any door unopened. And I'd go and question your fellow countrymen.
Don't worry. Countryman or not, I'm not letting anybody slip through the cracks. Do you know why she came to the island?
To get help, if I'm not mistaken. Isn't that right?
Indeed. Sir Gregory suggested to her father that he introduce her to Lord Mortimer to see if he could help her.
Yes, Lord Mortimer has a talent for healing, apparently. I'm not surprised Sir Gregory advised her to come.
Agreed. Mr. President, we found a footprint at the scene of the crime.
Not a dress shoe, I hope. That's all I wear.
No, rest assured. It looks like the print of a big ankle boot. A large size, I'd say.
Perfect. That should help you, Louis. It's a clue.
What can I do for you, Louis?
I've come to see you about last night's tragedy. Did you hear anything about what happened to Elizabeth?
Yes, we all did. Rumors spread quickly, you know. How awful. I didn't know her well, but I hope at least the poor thing didn't suffer too much.
Elizabeth was stabbed 9 times. No doubt she suffered greatly.
9 times? What monster is capable of such a horrible thing? Do you know what happened exactly?
In fact, Lord Mortimer has asked me to look into this case, Emily.
Really? Are you Lord Mortimer's snoop now?
I'm doing it for Elizabeth, not to please Mortimer.
Good for you. Quite right, too. Have you found out anything?
Did you and Elizabeth get to know each other?
I must admit, Louis, I didn't take much interest in her. I feel a bit guilty about it, but I never actually spoke to her. She seemed burdened by her problems, and as she wasn't invited to the conference, I didn't really seek her out.
Tell me, Emily, what's the nature of your relationship with Washington?
Oh, come off it, Louis. You're not going to go into a jealous rage, are you?
No, I can assure you of that. That has nothing to do with it.
It doesn't really matter. Look, Louis, the President and myself are working on a number of commercial contracts. Nothing overly exciting.
You're lying, Emily. These agreements come into being. They'll break Franco-American alliances for the greatest benefit of England. In order to know. Tell me, Emily, what's the nature of your relationship with Washington?
Oh, come off it, Louis. You're not going to go into a jealous rage, are you?
No, I can assure you of that. That has nothing to do with it. You're preparing a treaty to break the ties between the United States and France.
Whatever are you talking about, Louis?
I read your correspondences, Emily.
It's not what you think. So don't go thinking there's anything personal in it.
Are you trying to break Franco-American agreements, Emily?
That's the job, Louis. We're all doing everything we can to serve the best interests of our nation. It's got nothing to do with you or us.
But why didn't you tell me about it before?
Would you have told me?
I found a torn piece of dress in Miss Adams' room. Gray silk.
Where's it from?
That's what I'm trying to find out. The color doesn't match any of Elizabeth's dresses, but I might not have found all of her clothes yet.
Good Lord, Louis, do you realize what this means? If this piece of dress isn't from Elizabeth, then it's... I don't have any grey silk dresses, Louis. Neither does my sister, since we wear the same clothes.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to check with you.
I'm so sorry, Louis.
Thank you.
Are you all right? You know, I'm sure there's a good reason why your mother was at the scene.
Thank you, Emily. We've found the murder weapon.
What is it?
A dagger, quite slim.
Have you found its owner?
Not yet. Still searching as it happens. That said, since the blade penetrated the body several times, the murderer's hand will have been covered in blood.
You think that's a clue?
The handprint was a very slender hand, Emily. Probably that of a woman.
Do you realize what that means? There are only 3 of us on the island. Bearing in mind that neither my sister nor myself had any reason to set upon the young lady, that means...
I know, Emily. I know.
Keep up your courage, Louis. I'm sure there's an explanation. You're bound to shed some light on it all.
If what you say is true, Emily, I'm less and less enthusiastic about shedding any light on the subject. I won't keep you, Emily. Thank you for answering my questions.
See you, Louis.
Monsieur de Richet, please be quick. We are both very busy.
Did you hear about young Elizabeth?
Indeed. It is deeply regrettable.
Lord Mortimer asked me to...
I know. You no doubt want to know my alibi. I spent the night downstairs playing cards.
Can you tell me who was present at the game, please?
Well, there were Lord Mortimer, President Washington, and Sir Gregory.
Thank you.
Ah, and His Eminence Piaggi as well. Excuse me, I nearly forgot him. Poor soul.
Did any of you leave during the game?
Not that I know of, monsieur. I didn't exactly spend my time noting the other guests' comings and goings, but I don't think so.
Thank you. Did you notice anything unusual during the evening?
Nothing at all, except the luck of the devil of Lord Mortimer and Sir Gregory at cards.
Did they win much?
Oh la la, monsieur, they cleaned us out more like. But I plan on getting it all back before we leave.
What time did the game end?
I can't say exactly. As for me, I must have stayed until midnight. I was exhausted, couldn't think straight. So I preferred to go up to bed.
On your way up to bed, did you notice anything out of the ordinary?
No, not in the least. The whole manor was sound asleep.
Not really, no. Someone saw you not far from the victim's room. Can you tell me what you were doing exactly, please?
I can tell you that someone is an idiot. I wanted to warn her to be careful. You see, on the night of my arrival, I saw someone leaving her room in haste, and I wanted to speak to her, to warn her. Unfortunately, the young lady slipped through my fingers each time. Now I know why. She had every reason to be worried. What an idiot I was not to insist. I could have helped her.
Were you able to recognize the prowler?
Unfortunately not, no. It was dark, and Lord Mortimer was waiting for me. I was not really paying attention anyway.
As any good soldier would, I imagine you own a firearm. May I see it?
Oh, well, if you really want to, here is my pistol. Don't worry, it is not loaded.
Do you have several of these?
In Corsica, oui, but not on me when I am traveling. Only a bandit would carry such an arsenal.
Thank you.
Well, have we finished, monsieur?
Exactly. Thanks again for all your answers. Good day.
What do you want from me, de Richet?
Greetings. It's fallen to me
Cut
that...
the crap! Get to the point. We both know why you're here.
And have you got anything to tell me?
What does it matter? It's too late anyway. Do what you have to do and get out. All right. Have you finished?
Not quite. I'd like you to answer a few questions. 2 days ago, I surprised you having a go at Miss Adams. What happened? Did you want to give her another beating? She wouldn't let you push her around again, huh?
Shut up, you little shit! You have no idea what happened, and here you are, carping away. You think you're Investigator of the Year. Have you taken a look at yourself, de Richet?
Didn't you get enough beating her black and blue the last time?
I did not!
Go on. Keep going.
Finish what you came to do, then get out of my room.
Let's get right to it. Are you Elizabeth Adams' murderer?
That is for you to prove, if I'm not mistaken, boy. You weren't expecting me to do all the legwork for you, were you? Lazy man.
Why?
Nothing. Get away from me.
Just as soon as you stop treating me like I'm an idiot. If you wanted people to think you were guilty, you couldn't have done any better. So cut the bullshit and come clean now.
I can't! He'll come for revenge.
Who?
No one! Just shut your trap, goddammit! Yes, I was there. Yes, I walked in her blood. You've got all you need to wrap it up. Now scram!
The Sorrows of Young Werther. There's a handwritten text signed by von Werner on this first page. Dear Elizabeth, I know that this book is but a small token compared to the delightful moments you gave me, but I hope that this will nonetheless keep the memory alive. Your ever-obedient servant. So, Werner had a relationship with Elizabeth, but that's hardly surprising given his fondness for the occult.
What can I do for you, de Richet?
Monsieur, Lord Mortimer has appointed me to investigate the tragedy that befell us last night.
Oh, yes. It's horrible. Yes. How can I help, monsieur?
Where were you last night?
In my room. I read a few ancient manuscripts before going to bed. But I didn't stay up long. I was tired.
Thank you kindly. Excuse me for asking, but did you know Miss Adams?
Oh, she... not really, to tell the truth. No.
I found the Werther dedication, signed by your hand, monsieur. Would you like to change your version now?
Be careful, de Richet. Don't push your luck. My relationship with Miss Adams was pure, and has nothing to do with you. Well, continue playing the detective as you see fit. But if I find the bastard who did that to Elizabeth, I will...
Yes! I would have preferred a simple response, but I see I have my answer now. Please, tell me a little more about the nature of your relationship.
That is a personal matter, monsieur.
Yes, that is true. So, tell me.
All right. It was passion. That's why we couldn't stay together. It scared her.
I've come to speak about the findings of the investigation, my lord.
I'm listening, Louis.
I'm sorry, my lord, but I don't have any evidence conclusive enough to allow me to name the culprit with certitude.
Really? I see. Well, that's your decision, Louis, and I accept it. Given the distinguished guests and the sensitive political issues involved at the conference, I trust you'll leave me to conclude the case in my own way. Right. It's time we spoke about your mother, Louis.
She seems to be making every effort to steer clear of your guests.
What do you mean?
For the past few weeks, my mother's been playing cat and mouse, if you will. I don't know why, but it wouldn't surprise me to learn that she's trying to avoid someone. The question is, who?
And in your opinion, would she be the cat or the mouse?
I'd like to answer the cat,
But unfortunately, I'm increasingly worried that she's, in fact, the mouse.
That doesn't make me feel any better, Louis.
What was the official reason why my mother came to your island?
I knew about your mother's activities, and yours, in the Golden Order. I thought we had everything to gain by working together.
You mean the cannon deal with Monsieur Bonaparte?
Among others, yes. How did you hear about that?
Monsieur Bonaparte came to speak to me about it yesterday, during lunch.
I see. So impetuous. He was supposed to let me speak to you about it first. Our friend Napoleon desperately needed financial backing to properly equip his army. I took it upon myself to back him, because I have a firm conviction that he can go far.
We shall see. However, there's one thing that surprises me. Did my mother intend to finance a war? I'm not sure that I follow.
No, your mother's aim was not so much to partake in a war, but rather to make Monsieur Bonaparte accountable. France is in turmoil, and having the support of a military man can often come in handy, Louis. You'll see. Once this deal was closed, I had big plans for Sarah.
Such as what?
You see, I've invited several influential figures on my island to present them with a project at the conference. It will be presented later today. I thought that the Golden Order had a role to play, and I still think so. I was hoping Sarah would be able to join us.
I see.
Indeed, if by chance your mother decided not to return to us before the conference, would you do me the great honor of attending? If only to follow the deliberations while waiting for her to duly take her seat.
Why not? We shall see.
Ah, thank you so much. In this way, you'll be able to keep your mother informed of what is said. There's something else I'd like to briefly go over. Earlier, you asked me the official reason for your mother's presence here. Is there an off-the-record reason why your mother came here?
If only my mother had trusted me, but she remained very mysterious. I'd have been delighted to answer your question.
Is this usual for her?
As head of the Order, secrets are her bread and butter, as you can imagine. That said, it's the first time she hasn't let me in on the reason for her trip. And it intrigues me, to tell you the truth.
Well, I'm sure that Sarah will explain everything once she reappears. There's something I still don't get. In your opinion, why would your mother remain in hiding over several weeks?
Her not coming back to the manor after so long makes me wonder if she is wary of someone.
Well, certainly. But whom? The only ones who were present during her stay were Sir Gregory, Duchess Hillsborough, Mr. von Wollner, and myself.
You forget Elizabeth Adams, my lord.
That's true. But Gregory and I arranged it so that they wouldn't run into each other. I thought it had worked. Do you think that your mother felt she was in danger because of Elizabeth?
It's possible.
The only thing I can tell you is that Sarah had indeed changed. At the beginning of her stay here, we enjoyed spending time together, solving the world's problems.
You seem to know my mother very well, my lord. What did you talk about together?
Oh, as soon as we had a little free time, we liked to share points of view about practically any subject. We would find ourselves embarked on interminable discussions that could go from Monsieur Blanchard's flight in a hot air balloon to the Treaty of Jassy, or the adoption of the metric system in France last year, or even Mr. Eli Whitney's invention in the United States.
The armistice between the Russians and the Turks. Russia's come out of it having officially won Crimea, which gives it direct access to the Black Sea.
And, at the same time, the Mediterranean Sea. I'm worried about the decisions Tsarina Catherine might decide to take. She's a woman who managed to get rid of her husband to accede to the upper reaches of power. Gaining access to the Mediterranean Sea remains her main objective. When she still had that dear Potemkin as her lover, I could always find out about her intentions, but those days are over.
Please, excuse me, but I'm not very familiar with the Russian nobility. I'm surprised she didn't get you started on the Crusades.
It was her favorite subject.
Are you joking? Sarah and I spent entire days together reliving them. It so happens that the Crusades are also my subject of predilection, especially the Third. My ancestor distinguished himself brilliantly during the siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre.
Mother lulled my childhood with tales of the Crusades, how Richard the Lionheart and Philip Augustus had to battle it out to achieve their ends, and how Guy de Lusignan, having broken his word, launched the siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre.
Oh, I see Sarah's lessons have inspired new enthusiasts. Good on you, because not everyone can claim they know as much at your age. Your mother is a very well-read woman. You're quite lucky to have her as a model, Louis.
Yes, I know, but I'm still very worried.
I must admit, there are worse things to worry about now, Louis.
What do you mean?
Since she disappeared, your mother has been seen once. Her behavior on the evening of your arrival greatly surprised Gregory and myself. She resurfaced to attack Emma, Emily Hillsborough's twin sister. And she shot her with a pistol. Then, before Gregory could intervene, she ran off and disappeared again.
I beg your pardon? Hang on.
That means my vision on the wharf, it was actually happening inside the manor. Mother shot Emily's sister? The very person she came looking for? Why would she do that?
Excuse me, but between that and the childhood of Lady Adams, it's all a bit much for me to cope with. I need to piece it all together again to see things more clearly. You said that you spent a lot of time talking together at the beginning. What happened for that to change?
I'm afraid I haven't much to tell you. The more the days went by, the more she withdrew into herself. She never gave me an explanation, until the day came when she purely and simply disappeared.
Where did she go when she wanted to be alone?
She would shut herself away in a room we use as a box room upstairs.
Would you allow me to go there?
Naturally, Louis, of course. I'll send you a servant to open it.
Thank you.
That's all I can tell you about the disappearance of your mother, Louis. I would like to have been more helpful.
I shall stay on her trail and follow up any leads.
Thank you. We will meet later on to welcome our last guest. In the meantime, I shall get someone to open the box room upstairs for you.
Thank you.
There are burnt papers in the chimney. There's a legible fragment left. Hey, I recognize my mother's handwriting. She says, we must find a safer way to communicate. Someone is onto us. Trust in my faith in the man with the sword. So Mother had an accomplice here. Who could it be? Who could she be suspicious of? I must find the next part. Faith, sword. I recognize her love of riddles there. What is this disc? The door appears to be locked on the other side. I think I heard something fall to the ground. A metallic sound, like a key. We'll see if it works.
It's open.
The New Testament. This book is incredibly precious. I believe this is the book my mother referred to when calling upon the Lord. This volume dates from the first edition by Gutenberg. It's the first book that was ever printed. The pages are covered in annotations in Latin, French, and Hebrew. Someone spent years studying this Bible. St. Paul painted by Guido Reni. St. Paul is shown holding a sword. Strange. There's hardly any dust, as if the painting's been cleaned recently. There's a small inscription engraved on the frame. Let's take a closer look. This is how Paul spoke to his pilgrims from Rome. Just above that, someone's written down the figure 11 on the painting and underlined it twice. I don't know, what does that mean? I say then, have they stumbled that they should fall? God forbid, but rather through their fall, salvation is come unto the Gentiles, for to provoke them to jealousy. Oh, wait. A note from Mother is carefully folded between the pages here. What does it say? Dear E, I'm glad you found this note. I was afraid the code of the two groups of pilgrims would mislead you. Pick up the package. You know where, and hide it where no one will find it. It's imperative. Awaiting your reply, hidden behind the youngest apostle. What? The youngest apostle? What does Mother mean by that? It's St. John, painted by Guido Reni. St. John is the only apostle painted in this gallery who hasn't got a beard. Hey, wait! That means it's him. He's the youngest apostle. Right. This painting is therefore associated with the answer which E had to give to my mother. Now, I just need to know how to recover the answer. Painting looks like it's been taken down recently. But wasn't my mother said that she would wait for an answer hidden behind the apostle? Ah, of course. There's something written behind the painting. On the second day, the pilgrims will listen to the prophecy of the young apostle. They shall add 1 companion to their left and 3 to their right to complete their rank. What does it mean? On the second day, the pilgrims listened to the prophecy of the young apostle. The prophecy of the young apostle, that was John. And the prophecy mentioned is most likely the book of Revelations according to St. John. And the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she is nourished for a time, and times and a half a time, from the face of the serpent. Hey, a new note. It's been folded carefully in the corner of this page. The writing, it's not my mother's. S. I found the book in your effects. I've concealed it where no one can get their hands on it. I can assure you, awaiting your instructions, I will hear your reply like he who hears the angel. Hears the angel? What does that mean? Oh, it's probably the place where she was expecting to get the location of the next note. A drawing of the Apostle Matthew, painted by Guido Reni. He's represented as writing the word of the Lord, transmitted by the Holy Spirit, who appears here in the guise of an angel. There's something else behind this painting. It says, half of each group will join the first city of Corinth. What the hell does that mean? A group of pilgrims, if I'm not mistaken, numbered respectively 12 and 14 in the last painting. With the simple operation suggested, that would mean that the new groups are 6 and 7. It must be the group of pilgrims mentioned from before. I guess maybe the city of Corinth is a reference to the epistle from Corinthians in the Bible. Now, therefore, there is utterly a fault among you, because ye go to law with one another. Why do ye not rather suffer injustice? Why do ye not rather suffer yourselves to be defrauded? Ah, look, here's a message. It is of paramount importance that no one finds it. Watch out for the Prussian. He's on the trail. Let's meet up. I'll leave it to you to organize the rendezvous. Not today. I'm unable to do it. In the meantime, I'll follow the first group to Mark, who will reveal the answer to them. Prussian? Volner? I must have a word with him. And that first group of pilgrims, how many are there now? If I refer to the chapter I'm reading at the moment, 6. Painting of St. Mark from the collection of the Apostles by Guido Reni. There's nothing worth noticing here. Little characters are engraved on the chest of drawers under the urn. It's a sentence in Hebrew. There are finger marks, deliberately drawn in the dust. 8 in all. But that which beareth thorns and briars is rejected, and is nigh unto cursing, whose end is to be burned. Here's a message. There are some complications. Indeed, the Prussian is insistent. What's happening at your end? Do you need help? If tonight is not possible, let's say tomorrow evening, in the South Room, where we reviewed the situation. When Paul understood that only the axe counted, he went back on his tracks. I await your confirmation to his left, in the company of the pilgrims that have joined him. Yeah, this last comment is about their code. I should find new pilgrims near Paul. St. Paul on the Road to Damascus by Caravaggio. Caravaggio attained a magnificent command of black and the play of colors too. Paul facing an ordeal, the curtains of his illusions being raised, and receives the light from his Savior. St. Paul is the only saint to be presented twice in these paintings, contrary to the other apostles. How come? This painting has been hanging here for a long time. A lot of dust is built up on it. Well, a finger has drawn a number in the thin layer of dust. I can read the number 4. And he became very hungry and would have eaten, but while they were made ready, he fell into a trance. Hey, there's a note here. A message from Mother in reply to E. We must leave urgently, but first I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare. Watch out for Volner. He figured out I was avoiding him. Allay suspicion. See you tomorrow evening. Stand ready. For now, let's cease all communication until we meet. Take care of yourself. I suppose this must be the last message. What happened afterward? If it's what I suspect, I fear the worst. What did Mother mean by, I absolutely must go beyond the nightmare? I must go beyond the nightmare. What does she mean by that? Clearly, she must be trying to do something useful, but what? The nightmare. Does that remind me of anything? It probably has to do with an object or something. Granting that this is the case, where might it be found? Yes, it's the painting that was behind Mortimer's study. Well, let's see if Mortimer has anything to hide behind his painting. Mortimer's getting his guests together. I ought to join them so I don't look suspicious. It's time I went back and joined everyone in the small salon. Emily, I must speak to you.
What's the matter, Louis? About last night, I'm guessing.
Sadly, no. Even if I'd like to have, alas, there are more pressing matters. I have news about your sister.
What have you found out?
Look, I've started piecing together the events leading up to my mother's disappearance and your sister's. Did my mother know about your secret?
Yes, even though I belong to the English chapter, her rank in the Order gives her access to a good deal of personal information.
It must have been Emma I saw in my vision.
I was given to understand that my mother and your sister bonded during their stay. I've got a question that might seem a little bit strange.
I'm listening.
If I said go beyond the nightmare, would that ring any bells?
No, means nothing to me. Do you mean literally or figuratively speaking?
It might be a place. I don't know where, but it's a lead.
You ought to ask His Eminence. He knows the house and its estate very well, being a frequent visitor here.
Thanks for the advice.
Should I speak to her about my vision? If what I saw is true, she might want to take revenge. I better keep that to myself for the time being.
Come, Louis. They're waiting for us.
I don't think you know who I am.
You will pay dearly, Peru. I'm sure you were involved somewhere along the line.
That's right. Pretend you don't know. One piece of advice. Don't travel through France on your way back, or it'll cost you dearly.
Calm now, my friends. Let's calm down. Everyone seems to be a little unnecessarily heated. Don't forget where you are, please.
What's going on here exactly?
Sir Gregory called us together to introduce the last guest.
But hardly had we arrived when he set upon Monsieur Peru.
And who is this charming character?
Manuel Godoy, the Duke of La Alcudia.
He's the head of the Spanish government, Monsieur de Richet. He's the one who, in practice, controls Spain.
How could you dare do such a thing? Dios mío, you are all out of your minds!
Really, Duke Manuel? What made you kick up such a fuss?
What? Have you not heard? Well, let me inform you that yesterday morning at 10:22 a.m. precisely, in the middle of the Place de la Révolution in Paris, by decree of the National Convention which Monsieur Peru works for, King Louis was guillotined.
What? No.
The King of France is dead, gentlemen. Our monarchies are in danger. I have said it before. How dare they?
Oh, dear.
Oh, as if...
Gracious. Is it not Friends, let us calm down.
Don't pretend to be surprised. He got a fair trial.
Ridiculous. Bastard. He was sentenced to death by 361 votes to 360. You beheaded a king for 1 vote. Is that your democracy?
What an obnoxious act. Until this, anything was possible. This political coup will have grave consequences.
France is lost.
Gentlemen, please. Let us take a step back a moment.
In the name of holiness. He was the highest representative of God in France, Emily.
If I remember rightly, what Mother told me one night, King Louis was secretly also part of the Order. I wonder what impact his death will have on us.
Sad news, sir.
With whom do I have the pleasure of speaking?
Louis Maras de Richet.
Are you related to Sarah de Richet?
Sarah is his mother, Duke. Gentlemen, this news affects us all, but I must ask you to remain calm. It's not the first time history has taken us by surprise. Let's ensure that our respective countries are allowed to respond appropriately to this news.
Oh, rest assured. The response will not fall short, my friend.
Good for you. Well, Your Grace, here I was preparing to introduce you, as is proper, and you've beaten me to it. I'm delighted that we are all together at last. Our meeting will therefore be able to kick off shortly. I have just a few more little preparations to take care of before you all find out the reason for your presence here. In the meantime, I shall leave you to get to know one another. When you hear the bell, please proceed to the conclave room on my left, behind that door. I'll see you later.
Could you spare a moment, please, sir?
I'm glad you asked. I want to talk to you, too.
Of course.
I heard about your mother's disappearance.
He looks concerned. I don't know why, but I doubt it's from sympathy alone. Well, let's see what he wants from me.
Any news of her? Have you found her, maybe?
Why? Is there something you particularly wanted from her?
No, not specially.
My questions made him feel uneasy, but he's keeping his emotions under control.
Your mother and I used to often speak together. I have rarely met someone so learned. To tell you the truth, I was about to make a deal with her. Did she tell you about our arrangement?
Of course she did.
Perfect. I'm glad to know it. So, how should we proceed then?
What do you mean?
Oh, come, sir. No point pretending. You know. You obviously have no idea what I'm talking about, do you? You might have come across some old books in her belongings, perhaps?
Indeed. My mother is never without her favorite book.
Oh, a stroke of luck?
I didn't think her original edition of Bougainville would be so captivating to you.
No, indeed. The one I'm interested in is a very old book, with each chapter under lock and key. It has nothing to do with de Bougainville's book.
Oh, right. I'm sorry, I don't know anything about that.
Well, too bad.
You seem very upset. Is it so important to you, this book?
Well, it's the search of a lifetime. What can I say? Every time I move closer to it, it seems to slip away at the last minute. I was very surprised to learn that your mother had it in her possession. I thought it was with a certain von Borchardt in Paris. Do you know him?
Indeed. My mother and I had a brush with this individual just a few months ago.
What about?
About an object stolen from the Order a few years ago, which my mother wanted to recover.
This situation comes as a great surprise to me.
I got him now. I hope I've been able to satisfy your curiosity, Mr. von Wollner, and that you succeed in finding what you're looking for.
Oh, and so do I.
And now, what if you told me who you really are working for, instead of keeping up this pretense?
I beg your pardon?
We both know what you're looking for, von Wollner. You're the one who von Borchardt was planning to sell it to.
For centuries, all those who have come into contact with the Al-Azif have bitterly regretted it, Monsieur de Richet. You are playing a dangerous game. Please know that I am working for someone who does not appreciate anyone poking around in his business.
Let me guess. Your dear king, I should think.
What? You mean Frederick William? Oh, my poor fellow. You are miles away. That stupid, pretentious puppet wields no real power. But seeing as you do not wish to be serious, so be it. Good luck to you.
Monsieur Bonaparte, may I speak with you a moment?
May we?
Would you have any more information about the conference Lord Mortimer spoke of?
Nothing at all. Mortimer is very committed to secrecy when it comes to his conferences. But given the presence of Monsieur Peru and ourselves, I think it must concern France to some extent. Otherwise, I doubt he would have invited 3 Frenchmen to his table, huh?
Does expression "go beyond the nightmare" mean anything to you at all?
Well, metaphorically, yes. It sums up the career of a soldier quite well. I doubt that is what you want to hear, though.
Indeed.
That's surely not what I'm looking for.
Well, monsieur, if you are looking for a phrase book, Lord Mortimer must surely have one, given the number of books he has. You ought to check in the library of the tower. You never know.
What do you think of Duke Godoy?
Well, I'd rather not express any opinion of him.
Why is that?
His reputation is enough for me.
There are some rumors about his loose morals.
Juste, monsieur. Add to that his devouring ambition, if you want my opinion. Playing at lover boy rather than gaining merit for his career. It's a disgrace for any soldier.
I understand your point of view. You'll be able to check if the hearsay is true over these next few days.
I sincerely doubt that. The context does not allow me to give him my trust.
I understand your point of view. Well, I'll be leaving you now. Shall we meet up again later?
Wait, monsieur. Any news of your mother?
Unfortunately not, no.
I hope to speak with her about my deal before I leave. Let me know if you find her. À plus tard, monsieur.
Go beyond the nightmare. Does this line remind you of anything in particular?
You've caught me unaware here, Louis. Let me think about it a second. No, nothing comes to mind. Sorry, Louis, but I am unable to help you.
Mr. President, can you tell me a little more about the coming conference?
Of course, Louis. That's why we're here. Lord Mortimer or Sir Gregory regularly organize meetings like this to put forward major projects.
What do you mean by major projects?
I'd prefer to let Lord Mortimer explain that to you, Louis. Let's say he brings together influential people in order to consider possible actions to undertake to guarantee the future of nations.
Do you know the theme of the conference?
Not in the slightest. None of the guests know the theme before arriving. But you'll see, everything will turn out fine. Don't worry.
Mr. President, what do you think about your counterpart, Duke Manuel?
I'm very surprised he was able to accept Lord Mortimer's invitation, given the political situation in Spain.
I wonder what promise Lord Mortimer could have made to make him agree to come here, given the circumstances.
Who knows?
Well, thank you for your time.
Don't mention it, my young friend. Regarding your question on the nightmare, don't hesitate to question the others about it. Maybe one of them knows more than I do.
That's a good idea. Thank you once again. I'll see you in a little bit.
Ah, Louis. Just the man. Good Lord. How did the king come to be executed? I would think that the Order would have intervened.
I invite you to speak about it with my mother as soon as she reappears.
Is there any news of her?
Well, I hope it won't be long before I find her, Your Eminence.
Louis, I'm counting on you. If you don't find Sarah before my departure, I must ask you to give me back the letter I gave you.
Oh, don't worry about that, Your Eminence.
Now you wanted to speak to me.
I'm sure a man like you is in the circle of trust. Would you know what the conference that Lord Mortimer mentioned is going to be about?
Not really, my son. Well, be it Lord Mortimer or Sir Gregory, we are never informed about the theme of the conference before it begins.
If I say the nightmare to you, does it make you think of anything?
Your question is strange, my son. Difficult to say. Could you at least tell me a little more about the context?
I was wondering what to think of that Manuel Godoy.
He is reputed to be a very ambitious character, at every level. But his faith is unwavering. He is a staunch defender of the church. You can believe me.
Well, I mean, if it were a place or an object found on this island, what would you think of first?
The nightmare. No, I don't see anything. I'm sorry.
Well, that's too bad.
Ah, wait. I suppose it might be that horrible painting hanging in Lord Mortimer's study.
Pretend not to be that interested. Right. Well, don't worry about it. I was just curious. Thank you for everything, Your Eminence. I shan't take up any more of your time.
You are welcome, my son. I will be seeing you, Louis.
What do you want, Louis?
I've already asked you, but I don't remember the answer. What did you say to me about going beyond the nightmare?
Good heavens, you're losing your memory. I haven't the least idea what it might mean.
Oh, all right. That's too bad. Emily, what can you tell me about the coming conference?
Sir Gregory and Lord Mortimer organize this kind of high society meeting every so often in order to consider the world situation.
But to what purpose?
Well, by bringing together the most influential people from the dominant nations of the modern world, they allow the mighty to discuss matters with calm clarity. There are precedents of armistices being signed at the end of these talks, you know. Talking while holding a glass of brandy makes things easier. You'll see.
What do you think of our last guest?
Well, I never thought I would get the chance to meet that Hispanic Casanova in the flesh. His reputation is well known. The gentleman collects lovers, including, would you believe it, the Queen of Spain.
I doubt that Lord Mortimer invited him for his charm, if you want my opinion.
You're leaving me?
Unfortunately, I have things to do. Thank you again, madam.
The nightmare painted by Fuseli in 1781. Ah, this must be what my mother was talking about. Now just need to find out what she meant by go beyond. Hey, looks like it's mounted on rails on each side. It should lift up, I think. There must be a mechanism somewhere. Aha! I found it. Oh, what on earth is this? A ring lock now? Great. That's all I needed. history of the Mortimer lineage. Looks like his ancestors have always sought to improve society and have had an open attitude towards the arts. This seems to be the list of grants and sponsorships given by the Mortimer family. In 1489, the Mortimer family participates in the purchase of the Caravel Santa Clara from Juan Niño, shipowner, on behalf of Don Luis de la Cerda. The vessel will be renamed La Niña. La Niña, yes! That's one of the 3 caravels of the expedition of Christopher Columbus. It enabled him to discover the Americas. Well, you can certainly say that grandfather had a flair for business. In 1567, the Mortimer family financed a brickworks in Qinhongdao in China, fitted out with 51 furnaces 3.5 meters high, in guise of a protocol gift for Long King, the emperor of the Ming Dynasty. In 1645, the Mortimer family allocated a pension to be passed down the generations to the Nérac family from Bordeaux, shipowners and refiners from father to son, a family known for their expeditions to Africa and America. From 1235 to 1280, the Mortimer family granted an annual pension to Albert the Great, Archbishop of Regensburg, in order to fund his research in the writing of De Mirabilibus Munci, books about the wonders of the world. Let's not forget it recorded the recipe for gunpowder in the form of an anagram. They democratized firearms in Europe, no less. From 1235 to 1280, the Mortimer family granted an annual pension to Albert the Great, Archbishop of Regensburg, in order to fund his research in the writing of De Mirabilibus Munci, books about the wonders of the world. In 1513, the Mortimers financed the expedition of Ponce de Leon to the New World. That was the expedition that resulted in the discovery of Florida, in fact. In 1772, Lord Mortimer made a donation of £112,000 to the attention of Achille Basmarin, major shipowner of Bordeaux, for the construction of a ship, the Clary. But that's Lafayette's ship. I thought he paid with his own coin. It's even been suggested that grants were given by the order, but in fact, that wasn't true at all. In 1635, the Mortimer family sponsored the Academy of Mersenne for 30 years in Paris for works in the sciences and in philosophy. That was generous, but not entirely selfless when you think about Blaise Pascal, who developed the first calculating machine at the same time. From 1685 to 1720, the Mortimer family allocated an annual pension to Denis Papin for his brilliant works in pneumatics and hydraulics. That reminds me of spectacular experiments such as his first submarine, which didn't end all that well if I remember correctly. In 1550, the Mortimer family financed half of the construction of St. Basil's Cathedral in Moscow by way of protocol gift for Ivan IV Vasilievich, one of the most beautiful religious buildings ever built. Oh, the family tree. The first William Alexander Mortimer. He was born in 1131 and distinguished himself during the Third Crusade, during which he rubbed shoulders with Richard the Lionheart. He showed outstanding bravery during the siege of Saint-Jean d'Acre. He died in 1211 in the country of Westford at the age of 80. What longevity! Nice. Nothing is mentioned about his wife. The direct descendant of William Alexander Mortimer I was born in 1195 on his father's return from the Crusade. Only son, more discreet than his father, it states that he was widely traveled. He produced only one descendant, named William Michael Mortimer. He died in 1275. There's no chapter dedicated to his mother. Lord William Alexander Mortimer, lover of the arts and the sciences, he took up politics at an early age. After rapidly becoming influential, he decides to retire from public life in order to organize conferences reserved for the elite with the aim of finding answers to world problems. Blah, 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 blah. He's also an only son, and the book doesn't mention any known descendant. Let's see. All Mortimer's ancestors are called William something Mortimer. That happens a lot in noble families, but here it's systematic. Not a single generation ever breaks the custom. Looks like this family is very attached to their principles. Many families kept documents of their history, but I've never seen anything like this before. Such regularity in writing them up through the generations for such a long time. First time I've ever seen that. Mortimer gives considerable importance to his origins. That's undeniable. History of the First Crusades by Pierre Amédée de la Sarde. Strange. All the dates are all wrong. They indicate events that took place in the year 5000 and something? Wait, did I miss something? The author is Pierre Amédée de la Sarde, none other than the Grand Master of the Masonic Lodge of Paris. Now I understand why the dates are offset. He's using dates based on the Anno Lucis, year 0 of the Masonic calendar, by adding 4,000 years to the Gregorian calendar. But I thought that calendar starts in March. The Crusades took place not long after the year 1000. Here all the dates say 5000 and something. I'm guessing this dating system begins 4,000 years before the calendar that we use. Yet, I'm getting the feeling that there's something else, another small detail, but what is it? The famous call of Pope Urban II. 20 years after the capture of Jerusalem from the Arabs by the Turks, Urban II convened the council. He promises a plenary indulgence to Christians who go and get Jerusalem back from the Turks. The result, the Jewish community on the road to Jerusalem found itself persecuted for no reason. 12,000 Jews would perish, not to mention the massacre of Ma'ara, where acts of cannibalism by Frankish crusaders were reported, or even the capture of Jerusalem, where approximately 30,000 were left dead. It signaled the beginning of centuries of wars of religion. Or how Louis VII, King of France, eager to be pardoned for the death of thousands of innocent people in the fire of the Church of Vitry, convinces the Pope to authorize him to lead his own crusade. The result, in Germany, a new outburst of violence against the Jewish community, and a monumental fiasco by poor Louis VII, cuckolded by his wife's uncle. The famous call from Pope Gregory VIII in his Audita Tremendi Bull of 5187. Oh, the crusade where Richard the Lionhearted distinguished himself. It states the first sea blockade of Saint-Jean d'Acre was broken in the 12th month of 5190 AL, whereas the siege had been going on for 2 years. Open sesame. This is my mother's writing. I've picked up her trail. What is she up to? Obviously, she wants to lure Mortimer somewhere, but where? The only clue she's left for Mortimer is this stone sword. It must be intentional. It looks like a decorative sword, like from a statue, for example. And judging by the state of it, I'm guessing it's been left outside for a long time. I have absolutely got to find out where it came from. It looks like obsidian or onyx. It must weigh a ton. Strange. I don't recognize the alphabet. I wonder where the pictograms are from. It isn't Egyptian or Hebrew. There are two inscriptions on the sides as well as on the top. No way to know what's underneath. Absolutely no idea what it's for, but I find this cue fascinating. Oh shit. How am I gonna get out of here now? This looks like the same mechanism as the one on the other side. The mechanism passes through the wall. The wheels are the same on both sides. Chances are the combination I used on the other side works on this side too. It looks too easy. It could be a trap. These cylinders rotate on the same central axis, so when I enter a number on one side, it corresponds to another one on the other side. This looks like the same mechanism as the one on the other side. Well, I better not dwell on it then. This note is about a meeting with Lord Mortimer. There's no doubt about it. All right, I need to find out where the sword that came with it's from in order to find Mother.
You're joking, I hope. Don't tell me you've done that.
Really? How do you expect me to guess?
Oh, for God's sake, just ask them. We must absolutely inform Sir Gregory. How long has he been trying to collect all the spears?
I must have brought him the first one 20-odd years ago.
Do you know if he has managed to get the original?
Well, in any case, he's got all the ones we had at the Vatican. He made me replace them with copies. But I don't understand your reaction. I'm sure it is nothing serious.
I can see very well you do not understand. You have done nothing less than sign our death warrants, and still you don't understand.
Someone is listening.
What? Monsieur de Richet, why not join us rather than find yourself eavesdropping?
Well, I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Of course you didn't. So, my son, what can we do for you?
I didn't mean to spy on you, but you caught my attention. Your Eminence, I don't know what you said to Mr. von Volna, but the poor fellow looks positively crestfallen.
Not at all.
Don't you believe it, Louis. I was just telling Monsieur about Lord Mortimer's burning passion for holy relics. You must have noticed he's a bit of a collector. Well, for years, he has been searching high and low to bring all the copies of the Holy Spear together. As I was coming here, I thought I'd bring him a few of them. That's all.
Be quiet, for God's sake. Please leave us, monsieur. His Eminence and I wish to finish our discussion alone.
What can I do for you, sir? I am at your service day and night, sir.
Could you tell me where this sword comes from, please?
Certainly, sir. How did such a sword come into sir's hands?
My good man, I'm afraid you're overstepping your role. You're the one who's supposed to be giving the answers, not me.
Naturally. I hope that sir will forgive me. If I were sir, I would look in the garden. This sword looks like it's from the garden statues.
And how can I get into the garden?
There are two ways, sir. The first way to get to the garden is by the hall, between the conference room and the portrait gallery. The second way is directly through the portrait gallery. So I would just have to go out by the French windows.
Thank you, my good man. Ariadne. In Greek mythology, she helped Theseus get through the labyrinth. Looks like there's a crack in the region of the heart. I guide the sword that will kill the monster. If I recall the Iliad, Ariadne is none other than the daughter of Minos and Pasiphae. She was in love with Theseus and helped him in his quest to kill the Minotaur in return for a promise of marriage if he defeated the monster. She gave him a reel of thread so that he could find his way back through the labyrinth, which was famous for being unsolvable. But once the beast was slain, the gallant was quick to abandon her on an island. Turns out heroes are not what they once were. Let's see. A crack as long as my finger. What's going to happen if I've got it wrong? Icarus. The son of Daedalus and Nocrate. Impossible to mistake him with those wings. After flying too close to the sun, they came unstuck and he fell to his death. Pity. If I remember rightly, Icarus was the son of Daedalus. He found himself confined to the labyrinth with his father after his father betrayed Minos. And his father's plan to escape from the labyrinth wasn't any more successful. Man, that kid was jinxed. I am the innocent one, sacrificed for the sins of the father. Well, I wonder what this kiosk is doing in the middle of the garden. Too cramped to be able to do much. Well, there must be something going on there. It's up to the just to deliver judgment. Truth unlocks all possibilities. What is that? Looks like a sort of opening mechanism. Knowing Mortimer, I bet it's booby-trapped. There's a little hole at the fingers. I'm pretty sure if I get it wrong, I'll get pricked. Damn you, Mortimer. Reminds me of traps I studied in Egyptian tombs. What's wrong? Either I'm imagining things or my hand was pricked. It had poison on it. My head. I feel hot. Pasiphae, daughter of Perseus and sister of Circe. She married Minos and became the queen of Crete. I seem to recall that her fate was not something you'd want. She was punished for the sins of her husband. She had to mate with the sacred bull of Poseidon. 9 months later, she gave birth to Asterion, better known as the Minotaur. It's crazy to see to what extent women have always been mistreated. When they're not harpies, gorgons, and other witches, they become victims. Asterion. It is rare to see him like this. In general, he's represented with the head of a bull, with the features of the Minotaur. The famous son of Minos and Pasiphae. Asterion was a son of Pasiphae and Minos, or rather the result of a curse put on Minos. Minos was punished for betraying Poseidon. Of course, as strangely it often happens, it wasn't he who was punished, it was his wife. She had to mate with a bull, no less. From that union, Asterion was born, who everyone knows as the famous Minotaur. Rejected by Minos, he was shut up in the labyrinth so he could never leave. And, as if that wasn't bad enough, he died by the hand of a hero desperate to restore his reputation. Technically, Asterion is the victim of the story because he's described as a child cast out from birth. Born from an extramarital union because of the errors of his father, he was treated as an outcast all his life. And he died as innocently as he was born. A tragic story, as the Greeks knew how to do so well. This statue has a crack in it. The crack is thin and about as long as a finger. I should be able to thrust in my sword. Theseus, son of Aegeus. He's the one who slayed the Minotaur. I seem to recall he took the decision to confront the Minotaur. He killed the beast, but if it weren't for Ariadne's help, he would have been trapped in that labyrinth forever. In short, yet another hero who wasn't the sharpest knife in the drawer. Okay,
I'm probably being a bit harsh. I mean, we do owe him the foundations of Athens. In other words, the Republic. Render therefore unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Looks like a crack has been made on his torso. It's as long as a finger. I'd say between 6 and 8 centimeters. Daedalus. He's the architect of the labyrinth. And if I'm not mistaken, he's also the father of Icarus. Architect and genius inventor. He built the labyrinth for Minos to imprison the Minotaur. I seem to recall that he told Ariadne how to get out of the labyrinth by tying a thread to himself. So, Theseus managed to exit the labyrinth without trouble once the beast was dead. And when Minos found him, he threw him into his own labyrinth along with his son Icarus. Every action causes a reaction. Hey, there's a crack in this statue too. The crack is thin and about as long as a finger. Minos. Son of Zeus and Europa. If I remember correctly, he was the king of Crete. Married to Pasiphae, he had many children, including the famous Ariadne, whom history remembers for her thread. Hey, there's a crack in that statue. His gesture sealed his fate. The crack is in the region of the heart. It's a thin crack as long as a finger. A blade could easily enter. Heart. Again?
You can't be serious, Manuel. You know that's not going to happen.
You must leave me alone now. I have agreed to everything. Even to...
Agreed? I wasn't aware you had a choice.
What's going on here?
What now? What else must I do to win back my freedom?
Obey me. Now get out!
What was that? That's the third time in 3 days. Let's see if you're in there, Mother. Damn it, Mother. Now what's happened?
Don't move!
Wait, I'm not armed.
Who are you?
Good God, Mother, what have you—
Tell me who you are!